Welcome, misfits, to our first episode of
First of many.
Call Me Skeptical. That's right, baby. Evidence for God. Where tonight we are opening up the internet phone lines and putting the deity question in the hot seat. Oh my.
We got in the hot seat.
So come join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for some skeptic fun.
Come back anytime. Call first.
Woohoo! I want to thank everyone out there on the intertubes.
Oh,
That's
thanks,
right.
guys.
You have your booster shot. Now is the time to link up. Boop, boop, boop.
Get your flu shot too.
Ah, there we go. Always good when you sync up fast. That's what I like about these booster shots.
You could get in tune right with Satan. Just like
right in. It has to be Satan giving the booster shots. Why would it be Satan giving the virus? That would be silly. It has to be Satan.
God made the
being
viruses, right? Because
working product of doctors.
God has to create things, so God had to create the virus. So Satan is the one trying to cure it because that's bad.
Technically, you would think God creates that. He would create the virus, then he'd create the cure to the virus, but somehow you're afraid for the virus because that's not God's plan.
You mean like how he
but
creates...
also, God's product is still made from someone. Wouldn't that still be God's plan? Logistics are exactly.
You mean like God creating the problem of sin and then holding the cure in front of your face, saying, "Here's the cure. Worship me forever. Get down on those knees, Amy."
The funny thing is that it's kind of like giving you the fake sickness.
Right.
You're bored, so sick. No, they're crying. If you feed them, they actually stop crying for at least a small amount of time.
Don't feed the Catholic priests. Don't do it.
Oh my. No. As Bill Burr says, that's just, they get sent up like those whales, and then they avoid the police.
We support conservation on this show. We support that.
Conservation. That's right. We support conservation. If you're feeling fancy, don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Then hit that bell icon so you can get reminders to join our live streams just like this one. Woo, hoo, 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 hoo.
Woo, hoo, hoo,
We're a
hoo.
skeptic channel, including the two schmucks you see
we
before
do fit
you.
that category. Yeah, schmucks and skeptics.
However, Call Me Skeptical is specifically looking for views that don't agree with our own. So if you fit the bill, then the link to join the show is about to head into chat. Now, we also love the people who do agree with us. So atheists, skeptics, science-minded people,
Round
feel
earthers.
free to call or rather click in.
Call and tell us why the earth is round. There you go.
Yeah, call us why it's round. Or why there isn't evidence for God. I mean, we'll take either side, baby. We're a little biased, but you can tell us.
And then we can debate whether Tupac is still alive with a burning question on everybody's mind. Probably. He's probably somewhere.
Probably. Just like I forget the Bermuda Triangle, all that stuff. So if you think the world is 6,000 years old, that evolution is a hoax, or that the world is flat, well then, oh gee willigers, you should speak to us right away.
The
This
doctor
is
is
after
in.
we get done. The doctor is in. This is after we get done our opening statements. Now, ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-da,
Do-do-do-do-ch.
do. With that, I am going to be sending the link into stream, whether you are in Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. Though don't forget to keep your... Oh, I say I'm so used to it. Of course, keep your mic muted when that's good. Just
If
back
not,
and forth.
we'll just mute it for you. There you go.
No. I'm so used to our lovely... I love having our open mics. Da-da-da-da. But this is some lovely one-on-one, ladies and gentlemen. But with that...
Socratic gangbang.
So with that, let's get the fun started.
Let's do
And
it.
while that's happening, if you'd like to support the channel, you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/Newman right at the bottom, woo-hoo-hoo, which helps us make even more fun content, including awesome Patreons like Doom, screw you, Thanos. KO Champ. Actually, an even better quote. It's just a friend from work. But yes.
Okay.
Oh, it's great.
It's
the gift. It's wonderful.
Gift that
Take
keeps
my
on
word
giving.
for it. The gift that keeps on keeping. But also, Oz from the Atheist Roundtable and Networking Group. And COVID has not defeated us. We have regrouping and creating an even better event. Tickets
people
on
will be
sale
there.
now.
More
Exactly.
atheists, more skeptics. I might even be able to go because of so far. Yeah,
I'm heading out there. It sounds like James is gonna head out there.
I'm gonna try.
Have a good time. I know Pat's going out there. Woo.
We couldn't keep Pat away. We could not keep him away from that
keep
place.
him away.
As long as they've got the cooler well stocked, Pat's gonna be there.
That's right. They are. Woohoo! And I'm a social drinker. You never know. Time to dine with the skeptic.
Just keep feeding Amy the beers. Keep sending them her way.
Yeah, I will say I kind of like the sweet drinks, so give me like an Angry Orchard, but something like that.
I'm sure they can make that happen.
They'll make that happen. Exactly. But sending love, or I will say, my favorite Facebook joke of the week, which is, oh my goddess. Now I'm trying to remember the drink name. Da, 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 da. Ha 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 ha. Sending love to Ian.
It'll come back to you. It'll come back to
you. Hold on.
Ian.
No, it's like a Bill Burr moment. Now I have to do.
Our friendly Facebook Aussie. We've got a couple of Patreons from Australia. Speaking of that, Mark Reed. Also. We got Gizmo made an early appearance tonight.
All right, it's gonna bug me until I find it, but we're gonna keep on going. To be continued. As annoying as that is with jokes.
Look, Amy, he's already here. He already made an appearance tonight. He's already here.
Woohoo! Yeah. Sending
I can't keep him away.
Well, and it normally has been like a Minecraft. You have had your hearts,
There you
but
go.
doom, 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 doom. I'm forgetting all
You
my
just did
references
Ian
tonight.
Davenport, yeah.
Ian
Ian.
Davenport. No, but now I'm forgetting the
The
movie
drink
references.
or the movie?
No, there should be there's the new video game movie. I just saw it. It's going to be fun, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a Googling night.
Speaking of that, while you're looking up that, this weekend is opening week for the NFL, so hopefully all you guys will be out there watching the Miami Dolphins play. So we are a Miami Dolphins channel. That's like our secondary message. Skepticism, atheism, and the Miami Dolphins, they kind of all go together.
Free guy.
Because
Free guy. Thank you.
If you didn't know, dolphins are descended from land mammals. Did you know that? Did you know that, Amy?
I did not know that.
Dolphins are descended from just like whales.
And I'm going
Did
to
you
go
know that
out
the whale
to the
has
audience.
a what? What? A what?
I'm going to go out to the audience. What is the fake iced tea? It's my favorite Long Island iced tea. As I asked for it. All
How
right,
could
my
you not?
favorite Facebook quote
Long Island iced tea.
joke of the week, because we are a comedy
It's like
podcast
gin,
here.
vodka, rum, tequila, a little bit of splash of Coke, and some triple sec.
I used to think that Long Island iced tea was iced tea filled with mix, but now I just know that it's Long Island iced tea, or it's liquor filled with liquor.
Basically, yeah. Liquor mixed with other liquor. Splash of Coke.
Exactly.
And, you're ready for a good time.
Ready for a good time. Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. My brain, a short-term memory, but I'm glad I found it. My goddess, ladies and gentlemen, sending love to Ian Davenport.
Go Bears. Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Go Bears.
It would be a Christian. They would be a Bear supporter. That makes sense.
That's the clean. And also, sending love when we listen to a lot of creationist talking points out there. We were just talking about a 6,000-year-old Earth, so it doesn't matter if it's a snack around the Earth. It doesn't matter if you're
Whales
just
have a
going
15-foot what? What other things do creationists tell us?
A global flood. A global flood that's surrounded flood. It makes us kind of go.
Yeah. We're giving poor Mark Reed flashbacks from that Ken Hovind debate on the flood, which he did so well.
That's right. I saw Mark backstage, our first on air, sending love, but also sending love to Diana Smith.
Diana Smith. Thank you,
as
Diana.
we gather the entire skeptic community in one, the princesses Diana Smith. Woohoo! And also from across the pond, but now he's back after taking a look at some reappropriated from Christians. Yeah. Kind of were like, hey, you know these druids that were here before? Whoop!
Then we did a show where he talked about biblical archaeology. He talked about Shroud of Turin.
Exactly. It's kind of like when you have a normal store go out of business and then Spirit Halloween just kind of comes right in.
For 2 months and then they're gone. All the jobs go up and they come back.
Exactly.
Praise capitalism.
Woohoo! But sending love to Pat Lowinger.
Pat, we got to get that set up. We got to get the next.
That's right.
Set up
the sister show.
Right.
Talk Skeptic to Me, where we have our experts come and tell us about their expertise, whereas tonight we are Call Me Skeptical, where we are asking of the views that differ from our own. We're saying, come one, come all. That's what she said. Exactly. Hit me with your come on. But if you do
Fire
agree
away.
with us, then come on, because we love you too. We love everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Ah ha ha ha. But
Next
we also,
episode of Talk Skeptical, Pat will be drinking Christian tears while he destroys the Bible. Just a preview.
but also all of the skeptics. It's kind of like the Transformers. Del Pastel.
Dale, Skeptimus Prime,
Woohoo!
Skeptimus Maximus Prime.
All we're kind of
Primus.
asking for is a little bit of evidence. Is it really so hard to ask for a little bit of evidence? It's kind of like the theme
Just a
of
little
this
bit.
episode.
So hard, Amy. So hard and so long. Very long.
Huh,
very
that's
long.
what she said.
Can't have evidence. You're using the wrong tool, Amy.
Oh, the wrong tool. That's right. You need the tool that goes in the anyway. Thank you so much, Dale. But also, this thick old earth likes to remind us, and Dave Gar, that I don't know. Does that look round to you, James?
I mean, look, NASA pays those companies to make those as propaganda instruments. That is a tool of propaganda. They put those out. They give them, even the little kids, they give them that propaganda to destroy their faith in God. Because then they're going to think, hey, we live on a round earth. Maybe we're just one planet in a universe of billions and billions and trillions of planets. Maybe it's not all about
James,
us.
You just accepted that from someone else. We should really be building our own, I would say spaceships, but it's going to be a rocket ship, and one of us is going to lose a leg. And when I mean leg, I mean our life.
Death Star? I mean, if we were going to build anything, that's what it would be. In fact, the U.S. government did in 2011 calculate estimate the cost of building a Death Star. It would be like 1,000 years of the entire world's GDP. To do it. So we're not quite there yet, but
not quite there yet.
We would have to mine the core of the earth to get that much iron, but we could probably do it one day.
We could build a Death Star, but yes, we're sending love instead to Dave Gar, and then the lead. And actually, as we bring up the lead hyena, he's reminding all of those. I would say, I say theists, but really the creationists, or really anybody that, come on, the fundamentalists, the evangelicals, the water is fine, ladies and gentlemen. We will not bite, unless you're into that. And the link is in chat. But we are also sending.
She doesn't bite, Creflo. Come on, Pat Robertson. He's 90, but Amy can work with that.
Oh, baby, can I? But also sending love to Scott Duke, the lead hyena. And last but not least, our thespian skull. Come join us on our Skeptic Bible studies. Ha 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 ha. Our thespian skull, rejoice!
But the Lord spake unto the children of Israel.
Yeah, I know. Oh, everywhere.
I am the Lord thy God that rescued thee out of the kingdom of New York. I will now kill thee.
Back in, James. So, with that, thank you to all of our Patreons. You enable us to make this fun content.
There are enablers, yeah.
Along with, of course, viewers like you. So before we switch into callers,
you guys are all doing your part, and we appreciate it.
Evidence for God, which is all us non-believers are really asking for. Is it too hard? That's what he said. To see a little evidence for a deity existing? Of course, I should put that big old asterisk right out front. We're looking for good evidence. But what exactly is good evidence? Well, as Carl Sagan once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Thus, every claim becomes proportional to what one is proposing. This is especially true of a god. If there happens to be an all-knowing, all-powerful creator of the universe out there that's watching me 24/7, 365, it's going to choose where I end up during the afterlife and cares if I put stuff up my butt, then I'm going to need some quite amazing evidence. Something more than some guy told me so. Or many guys told me so. Or many guys in a book told me so. That's because eyewitness testimony isn't going to cut it. Even if the eyewitnesses are ourselves.
Go wrong. Gary Ruskin, the executive.
Sorry.
That's because if I had to pick, I would choose the one methodology that takes us out of the picture. Or rather, the human bias. Empirical evidence, we would ask, of any scientific hypothesis. Though believers normally say asking for empirical evidence is cheating. How dare we ask for evidence within the natural world? Though funny enough, for thousands of years, these deities were meddling in human affairs just fine. God has no problem coming down to Moses and talking face to face so closely they swap spit. The same with the rest of these deities, past, present, and my guess is future. So my mind is open to being changed. Really, my guiding light is searching for the truth. But evidence for God? Haven't yet found any. Thank you. Woohoo! And with that, how are you tonight, James? And what do you think? Evidence for a deity?
Still looking. And I mean, that's really why we do all these shows, really, is we're just looking for evidence. We are waiting for somebody to give us a new argument, to give us something that we haven't heard before. And I think that's one of the things that, as if you're sick like us and you just love watching debates and stuff about these topics, and you've watched dozens of them, see, they're all kind of the same after a while. The same arguments, the same reasons, the same. You don't really hear anything else. And at the end of the day, that's what we're asking for, a good reason to believe. We're asking for something that makes sense, and we never get that. And really, I don't think that's too much to ask for. I don't think that's too much to ask for something that is congruent, that makes sense, that fits within reality that we live in, that conforms to reason. The same reason, by the way, that we use all day, every day to make decisions on virtually everything else, but except we're told, no, no, no. When it comes to God and faith, you can't use that. You cannot use the same reason, logic, and evidence requirements that you use for everything else. No. You have to use faith. You have to just arbitrarily choose to believe without that evidence, and then maybe later on, God will give you that evidence. Well, I think most of us, probably a majority of us atheists, were at one time theists of one form or another, and we did at one time hold these beliefs. So what we found is that we actually didn't have a very good reason to hold these beliefs, and to a lot of us, that was kind of disconcerting. It wasn't what we wanted to find. I know it's not what I wanted to find. I kind of like the idea about being able to live forever with my friends and family and be happy, and I was okay with that. It wasn't that I was anxious to give that up just so maybe I could do a few things here on earth and not feel as guilty about them as we are told by the Christians all the time, that that's the only reason you guys don't believe. You can do bad things on earth and you won't feel as guilty about them. But often enough, we find that even those Christians espousing those very beliefs end up doing the same things that they're maligning others for. They're not perfect. None of us are perfect. We're all deeply flawed. We all have our flaws and our issues, and that's just part of being human. But unfortunately, no, all this, we'll just go up to heaven, where big God will give you a big hug and wipe away your tears and say, it's okay. None of that matters anymore because you've agreed to get on your knees and tell me how great I am forever. And we can't tell you that. And that may be disconcerting. That may be cruel to people who have based their entire life on that. It is what it is, though. And I think all of us kind of wrangle with that. We kind of wrestle with that when we're coming to terms with what we believe. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen usually in a week, a day, a month. It happens over time. And you just are eventually able to let go of these beliefs and superstitions that you don't need anymore. And we're asking people to, hey, come on and provide us with, give us a reason to believe. And we'll evaluate it. We'll consider it. We'll listen to what you have to say. We don't throw Christians or theists off the channel. We don't mute them. We don't, we want to live. We encourage them to come on and give us their arguments. We just don't, unfortunately, get very good responses with that. So hopefully with our new call-in show, that'll change. And we will get people who will bring the big guns, the big arguments, and really give us a challenge. So thank you. Gizmo, by the way, is waiting for a challenge. He is waiting for a challenge.
I know. Gizmo's like, bring it on.
Bring it on.
And all right, we're about to switch into callers. We will go one at a time, and we are looking for those viewpoints different than ours, along with those that agree with us. Afterwards, we will be heading to the Discord for some chatting with the community, the link of which is in the description below, and the link to join us in the live stream is now in chat. So with that, we're about to switch into our first call. Woohoo! So the first call of the night and the first call ever on our first episode, Call Me Skeptical. Very proud to have you here, Mark.
Mark Reed.
Yes. Mark Reed, baby. A returning debate me bra interlocutor. Don't die on us, not allowing.
Yeah, currently dying. All right. Yeah, how you doing?
Say a prayer for him, Sunflower.
And I will say, actually, say a prayer for me. Before we get into Mark and how awesome he is and the topic itself, I want to do another call out. The link is in chat. We are looking for some theists. We are looking for some evidence for God. And I say this, and then Dr. Kevin B comes on. So what a great there we go. We have it.
Speak of the devil.
And okay, but we're going one at a time here, and we want to give everyone our time. So with that, we have Mark Reed. We are calling me skeptical, and we're looking for some evidence for God. I mean, what are your thoughts?
What do you think?
Well, yeah, I do apologize. I didn't realize this was a call-in, but I'm happy to call in. So what's the format? Are people going to stay on, or will I leave and you'll have someone else on and get to talk to them, which is what I'm assuming.
So the format is going to be that we can go one-on-one with people. Every once in a while, I think we can either have a special guest host or we may have two other interlocutors on. But the whole point is to generally get some one-on-one time with people's views so they can really explain, get some airtime, really get into their mind. And though we'll still have that community Discord. And we want to do it, I think, this is going to be a kind of like we're building a whole channel of fun. We kind of love our open mics, and we wouldn't want them. And so what we want to do is we want to have kind of like maybe 2 or 3 episodes a week, and maybe 2 or 3 different types of shows a week. And we're just going to...
Yeah, no, I think this is good because there's less of the intimidation of going up against, 6 atheists that are all disagreeing with you kind of thing, because that's a challenge for anybody.
No, not the Socratic gangbang as we.
The Socratic gangbang, yes. This is a non-gangbang. It's probably still Socratic, but not
a threesome. It's not a gangbang.
It's a Socratic threesome. That's awesome. No, I love it. So my thoughts on this is I have issue with the nature of the title, because you can always find evidence for anything. You can find evidence for flat Earth through testimonial evidence, and I want to kind of make it clear that we're looking for good evidence, solid evidence, reliable evidence. So and the reason why we use the scientific method to get evidence is because of its reliability and robustness. So scientific robustness is kind of a big one. It's that other people do the same thing and you get the same result every single time. Like, so if you're investigating the weight of a element, for instance, everybody that measures it comes up with the same result, and that's robust. That's one of the things we're looking for, and the reliability of getting exactly the same thing time after time, no matter how many times you do it. And to my mind, that's the problem with religion. It doesn't have that reliability to it. Everybody's got a different opinion. Every religion and nearly every person in the religion, well, not every person, but a large segment of religions, they'll sort of have their own ideas of what religion God is and what he wants and what his doctrines are, even within a denomination. So we don't get the same result, and we don't get that reliability that we see with science. I'm not opposed. I'm not a philosophical naturalist. I don't think that I can say, hey, there is nothing beyond the natural world. I would say I don't know. But until such time as we have a way to reliably investigate it, I don't think we can ever know. But it's not up for us to, sort of create a method of investigating the supernatural that is reliable. It's up to the people sort of claiming that there's a supernatural to give us a method for investigating it.
At one sense.
Right. Yeah, so I think this should be excuse me. I think this should be good evidence for God, or reliable evidence for God. And that's because you can always find evidence. And the other point I'd like to make is that multiplying bad evidence doesn't make it good. So if you find, 1,000 people that have all seen a UFO, that doesn't make it good evidence. It's just a whole pile of bad evidence. If you have 1 million Reddit comments saying that vaccines don't work, that doesn't make it good evidence.
Right.
It just makes it a massive stack of bad evidence. And just getting a larger and larger pile doesn't necessarily mean that it turns magically into good evidence. It's all still bad. So that's really the 2 points I wanted to make. And I guess I just jumped in first, not realizing that this was a call-in show. But yeah, I want to make a complaint about your title. It should be good evidence. I want to complain. I'm complaining.
Gosh darn it. Well, unfortunately, hold on. I'll bring up the complaint department.
It's clickbait. Clickbait.
Oh, Gavin, move over.
Okay.
He gets crowded down there sometimes. Okay, I'm sorry. What, the complaint department's here? So it's better than Yahweh's complaint department, let me tell you.
Yeah. Burnt it there. Get killed for that one.
So, in our defense, Mark, we've never seen any good evidence for God. So if we ask for that, that's, we're just looking at, we're looking for any type of evidence, even the bad evidence, because that's all they have. So
right.
Yeah.
Not good. Let's just say that. And like, I think Leo brought it up that saying good and bad for evidence isn't really. Like, I'm taking the colloquial terms for good and bad. Like, as he pointed out rightly, it probably should be strong and weak evidence, kind
reliable
of
or unreliable.
Right, exactly. That strong evidence is robust, reliable, repeatable, that kind of thing, and poor evidence is not. So I guess thinking back to what he said, he's probably right. It is just poor evidence and a stack of poor evidence,
Well, when you're looking at an element, you're measuring its properties. You can everybody could agree on it, but when you've got a non-existent God, nobody could agree on its properties because it could be whatever you want it to be because it's not real. It could be a pink unicorn on the planet Tenoctolin.
Why not?
Just prove it. Yeah, there you go, theist. Praise God. Praise Moonlight.
And I feel bad, Mark, even though you heard me start it. No, we have some theists, so I think it's about to get some.
Absolutely.
It looks like we have Kevin, we have Bubble, but we also have Randolph. Sending love to Randolph.
Maybe Randolph's coming to let us know he's a theist now.
And I will say, I think we're going to have your second Debate Me Bra topic. That's what we need to set up. Woo-hoo.
Okay. Well, let me know, and I'm more than happy to. That would be great.
But it was lovely having you on.
Thanks for coming on, Mark.
Thank you very much for having me on.
As I'd say in the opening, it was great to agree. And the funny part is we're just asking for, like Mark said, and like I said in the opener, we're just looking for good, or what was your wording? You had a
strong evidence.
We're just looking for strong evidence.
Reliable.
Yes, because I think I almost used in the example is the cat. If someone tells me they have a cat, I will believe them on a very low bar of evidence because that is something that we believe.
Pretty common.
A pretty common thing. But if someone is going to tell me, I normally say a baraka, but I gave my punchline. They normally say a unicorn, but a baraka, a man coming back from the dead, we're going to need a little bit more evidence. That's all we're asking for.
A little bit more.
Woohoo! But
right.
Love
Thanks,
you
Mark.
so much, Mark.
Thank you.
And thank you. I have to hug you because you were our first ever on our new episode called Be Skeptical.
Awesome.
Boom, baby.
Awesome. All right. See you.
Much love, Mark.
And all right, we're bringing in
Dr. Kevin.
Dr.
Hello.
Kevin.
Sorry
How
about
are you
last
doing?
time. My Oh, am I echoing?
No. My kitty overlord sometimes wants to look out the window. How are you tonight? And we're looking for evidence for God.
Well, I would say what evidence do atheism have of what is moral and what is not?
Amy, that's your specialty. I'll let you respond to that.
So I will answer that, but I will say before I answer that, that is answering a question with a question. I just want to put that right on the table. As I was like, evidence.
How could you tell between the good and bad?
So
What's
if
good?
I can
What's
tell
bad?
you, will you stop? Okay, let's go into that. Even though I would really like some evidence for a God, I'll go into what I believe, what makes things good or bad. You can won't preamble. What makes things good or bad is situationally dependent on the biological facts of an agent.
Okay. Um, what I mean, like an action. So somebody, steals from you. Is that a good or a bad? And on what basis can you
Well, let's explore it.
let's see, quantify it? There we go.
So someone is stealing. What are they stealing?
Like, let's say your car.
They're stealing a car.
Yeah.
All right, we're going higher. We're going much higher than a loaf of bread. Why are they stealing the car?
I want to shoot for the moon,
Yeah, sure.
Maybe a
Why are
moon
they
car.
stealing a
I don't know.
car? Huh?
Maybe a moon car. Maybe one of Elon Musk
A
rocket ships.
moon car. That
Yeah.
is what I tell spammers. I tell spammers when they ask me for an extended warranty, I generally will talk with them for as long as it takes them to realize that I'm trying to ask for an extended warranty for a spaceship. Because a lot of them don't even take Tesla. And then if they do, I generally go for a Tesla spaceship. Because a Honda spaceship isn't as cool, but it'll get you there.
There you go.
See, here's my problem. Once we go towards like he's stealing, not a Tesla, or like he's stealing one of Elon Musk's Tesla. I mean, because this is making it, it's leaning more and more towards bad and irreverent because we're getting away from things like loaves of bread. If someone is stealing like a top level spaceship, that's pretty bad. And we can say it's pretty bad because there is no, he's biologically pretty fine and he's ruining he's ruining someone else's reality just for.
What does the reality have to do with the biology of stealing something inanimate object?
Because I generally think that when we're talking about morality, when we're talking about ethical questions, we're dealing with agents.
Okay.
So,
Like,
And
can I ask you a question?
okay.
Can you give me a moral or ethical dilemma that doesn't have to do, and I would say foundationally deal with biology?
Well, why does morality have to do with biology? I mean,
Because
if we want to
because
get
it's
into
part of
morality and
evolution.
biology, I mean, you'd
Because
start
it's
getting into like
evolved.
scientific like racism, or not scientific racism, but scientific like race and different genders and different
you
races.
know the great thing about race? It's not
Yeah.
scientific.
How could you say that?
I just
How
said
could you say that there's no
English.
biological? You talk about biological differences, and then you say no races doesn't exist.
I talked about biological. I mean about agents. Like
Okay.
agents on the game. Like when we're dealing with ethical and moral dilemmas, we're dealing with certain types of creatures. Not dealing with plants, not dealing with rocks, and they're not alive. We're dealing with living creatures that are moving. These are the types of
Okay.
things that we create ethical questions and dilemmas for. If it's not for us, Nothing. No one. It's just fungus and plants growing, and there is no morality because just
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So interesting. So basically, when somebody steals something, if maybe it's has the possibility of being viewed as morally bad, it has something to do with their biology. Am I understanding that correctly?
I believe that I could get to morally gray areas where stealing is in that direction.
Okay.
To
So
where
there's something wrong with like somebody's genetics when they want to steal something. Is that what you're saying?
that is not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Am I becoming Jordan Peterson? Is that what you're saying? Okay. No, I think that whether
I'm just wondering when you're going to kick me out. So.
oh no, so, kick you out. This is the bread and butter, baby.
We're the,
We can go.
warm and cuddly skeptics.
Yes, and we have a few more, but we'll keep going. This is good. Here's
Okay.
my thing, though. I'll go for a little bit longer. I feel like I have a rational basis for my morality. It has nothing to do with a god. I struggle deeply to figure out how a god has anything to do with morality. Can you help me?
Okay. So when somebody steals something, right? Usually they get a fine or they go to jail, depending upon obviously the what would you say, the seriousness of the crime, or the seriousness of the item that's being stolen and how it affects somebody's life, which is true. So when somebody with the law system, so you go to jail. When you're in jail, what it's supposed to do is supposed to rehab you, and it's supposed to make you a better person. And it speaks of repentance, repentance of stealing. It doesn't necessarily have to do it directly with a god, but it does come from a religious aspect of repentance of your sin. So stealing is a sin, and so you will pay the punishment of being incarcerated for, I don't know, a year, and then you come out and you usually theoretically you come out as a better person. But
Well, now you're getting into like penological theories and the goals behind
And actually,
incarceration. And
can I pause you for 1 second? I hate to get you off because you were going into the evidence for God,
Yep.
but rehab, do you believe that's a good concept? Do you believe that people can be rehabilitated? Bad people can be rehabilitated?
Well, why do we have rehab clinics?
That's a question with a question. I mean, I believe in rehabilitation. Do you believe in rehabilitation?
I'm just getting started.
you're just warming up, Amy.
Is that it? Here, I'll go. We'll go one after the other. You or me first. Rehabilitation. 3, 2, 1. Yes. What's your thought?
All right. So yeah, obviously, there is. From what I understand, I'm just trying to understand as much as possible without sounding facetious or anything like that. Is that you basically believe in some type of determinism, in that when somebody steals, they're always going to be that way, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Are you asking, do we believe in some type of determination?
Well, that's I'm just maybe hypothesizing on what your stance is on.
I would say people are going to steal. It happens, but we can deter it.
But is that a yes or a no? Because I want to tie that back to speak. I'll tie it back.
Do you believe that because somebody's stolen is due to some sort of biological defect? Yes or no?
I can answer that, but do you believe that people can be rehabilitated on this earth right here?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely.
To some form or another, yes.
Okay. Let's just freeze that for 1 second. Do you believe in the concept of hell?
The concept of hell, it doesn't necessarily have to be about Satan worship or anything like that, but or not I guess the devil with the horns and it's burning fire and you're burning forever for eternity. That's one way of describing hell, but there's other ways, like Lucifer is a fallen angel, and he came in, he wanted to basically, climb the hierarchy, and he was envious, and he was jealous of other people's success. So it's
of
kind of like
God?
a fallen state. So if you're in a fallen state, you can be in a hell. Just like if you're addicted to opioids or addicted to drugs, that's a type of hell as well too. So, yeah, I believe that if somebody is tormented mentally, I don't have to get talk about the soul or anything like that. But yeah, if somebody is tormented mentally, and there are tormented people, and there's people committing suicide, there's people that are doing drugs. I can quantify that, and obviously
But
they're in some sort of mental
a
state that
place
is
of
not
punishment
healthy.
after we die, a place of eternal or long-term punishment after we die. Is that,
Well,
do you believe
obviously
that exists?
that obviously into the next life that you will be punished. I can't quantify how you'll be punished, but you'll definitely your karma will in the next life won't be great. Let's just say that.
And so my question then is putting both together. You believe in a hell. Is it forever?
Uh, hmm. I wouldn't say that. I would say, just because I can't quantify it, but I would say that I know you're trying to like pit me like, oh yeah, heaven, hell, but I would say
We're
that
trying to get you to answer a question.
you are responsible for your actions, and obviously if you are doing drugs, or if you're committing suicide, you're hurting those around you, and you're making other people around your lives hell as well too. So, or unpleasant. Let's just say that. I mean, no one wants to be around a drug addict or someone who's depressed all the time. Am I wrong
Well,
in saying that?
I feel like that's almost dating advice more than
No.
like I want to make people happy. I think there are secular ways that actually I think the best ways for actually treating depression tend to be secular therapists. But
Yeah.
that is nonetheless my real question
So
here.
so okay
Whatever
okay
form is
okay.
actually is because here's the thing. You could say forever or not. Well, I would like to know, is there a rehabilitation in hell? Like, is there an end point? Like, you do your 500 years and then they chuck you out. You do your 5 years because you just
That's
stole a
like
loaf of
purgatory.
bread.
All right. I'll meet you in maybe I'll meet you in the middle here. So okay. So you're just a hypothetical. You're a therapist in hell. Okay. Just hypothetical. And someone goes down there, they're like, oh my god, how did I get down here? I
Long term.
well, I was just like, oh, I guess I did drugs, and I guess I stole a car from somebody, and I was mean to my mother and all that. So basically, how would you get that person to rehabilitate? Like, how could what would you say to them to make them be like a better person, like a more moral person? What would your
Well,
stance be? What would you
here's
appeal
the
to?
thing. The difference is that we're talking, it's almost like we're equivocating there because it's like, what would I do in the natural world between who knows what they could do in hell is, it depends on your version of hell. Is hell run by God, in which case he has the super secret weapons
Okay, so
that
let's
or
say
not,
God appointed
tools.
you God appointed you to be like a therapist
In
in
hell?
hell, and to get people out of hell. What would you say to those people that come down there and say a guy came to you and he says, I was depressed and I decided to kill myself, and now I'm down here. So what would you say to somebody like that
You
that
know
would
why I couldn't
But if
accept
she's
that
working for
premise?
God, yeah,
Because here's the thing, that is a loaded thing. I would much rather
all right?
answer. Hold on one sec. I would much rather answer what I would do, what advice I would give to them in this world, so that they didn't do
Okay.
something horrible. Because
Oh,
uh, at that point, we're accepting so much. It means there is a God. Sinning is real. Like if I am Satan's
Right,
therapist, I'm also very confused. I mean, about the whole Satan thing, because in my let me put my pin stamp. Wasn't raised in a hell background.
Okay.
So
I was just trying to incorporate your point, but it could be of this world too. So I was just
well,
trying
I
to, you
understand.
know.
But see, I'll tell you why I couldn't do it. Because if I was
Hmm.
hell's therapist, I'm then working for God or Satan, or I'm on some team doing something when really I just want to be on team whatever that person is. Sending love, doorknob Hev, and that's right, baby. Dave Gar says hell therapist.
Sorry about that, guys. The
No,
car went by.
I would just say real
we're
quick.
doing it live.
Sorry, I didn't see it coming. It's night out. Okay. So obviously you're making a distinction between, you know, somebody doing horrible things and somebody doing good things. Is that correct?
I believe that we can make moral distinctions. I believe there are gray areas and some things that lean very, that lean in the direction of it's almost good no matter what. Yeah. So my normal example for biology is chopping someone's head off. We can generally say, rule of thumb, chopping someone's head off is not a good thing. Why? Because when you chop someone's head off, that is the end of that agency. Unless they were in horrible, excruciating pain, you have just ended someone's life. Now, what if we were born a little bit different? What if we were born like salamanders? And not only was it like a limb, but we cut someone's head off and it grew back. We then have to ask ourselves, well, does it, you know, if the head comes back and they keep on living, in an hour they just come back up, how immoral? Probably sucks if it's painful. It probably isn't a good time. But the whole point is agents. We are dealing with agents, and we're dealing with us as living beings playing the game.
Like Wolverine's claws, they hurt when they come out, but he's okay after that. Right?
That's right.
Okay.
But I know
The thing is, though,
believe...
like humans are kind of like different in that they can put somebody on trial, and obviously they're appealing to some sort of abstract morality when it comes to judging that person's actions.
Well, do you want to live in a world where we want people to make things in the world, right? So if you make things, if you make something and somebody bigger than you can just come and take it, then why would you want to make anything? So if we didn't have laws against stealing and anybody could just take whatever they want, we wouldn't give people an incentive to produce anything because somebody bigger than you could just come and take it. So we have to have private property rights, which is why things fall apart when you go to a totally Marxist system where there's no property rights whatsoever. So nobody has any incentive to make or do anything because it's not yours anyway. It benefits you nothing.
It's like thou shalt not steal.
But see, should you not steal because it says thou shalt not steal, or should you not steal because it's a dick thing to do? Generally speaking, like if you have
people
food and you're going around stealing,
it depends.
And they might
upon
beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Well, you're sounding, you're coming to ours. There you go.
They might beat the crap out of you, but if you're starving to death, it might just be worth taking the risk of that beating to not starve to death.
And I will add, in our opinion, there is only one time that we can actually get to give justice for people who deserve it. We feel once you're dead, that's it. So it doesn't matter how horrible. If we want to do the right thing, you have to bring them to justice. Whatever we can debate that entire subject, but
we don't get to pass the buck to God and let Him do it for us. We have to do the work.
So where do you think you came from? How did you come to be?
So it's such the easy answer. You know this is coming, right? That's
He
what
knows.
she
He knows
said,
it's
and it's
coming, yeah.
also the answer, which is our parents.
I
We
actually
came from our
triggered an
parents.
atheist actually asking this question once. I actually triggered him pretty bad, but
I mean,
You're not going to trigger Amy asking about
Okay,
sex.
okay.
That is
no,
not.
no, baby. I'm a shake weight champion. I will say, sending love to everyone in chat. We'll go for about 10 more minutes because I actually am enjoying this. Then we have another theist. And then I think Randolph wants to
Randolph
have
is back
maybe
there.
some time with one of our theists. So maybe we'll have a threesome because we can have up to a special guest host on our show. But what are we? I see Randolph said the end of agency within a few seconds, not necessarily immediately. Will Stewart says there can only be one. There can only be one. Highlander,
Sloth.
the one ring.
Sloth.
Hells yeah, baby. Woo! Neil, sending love, Neil,
Neil.
and Eddie. Woohoo!
Yeah, Brew Fairy Tales. He's been out there. He's been spamming the chat. He's.
Well, I love you. Love all of our theist brothers and sisters, even the ones that join us tonight. We're sending love, atheists
We
and
love you
theists.
guys.
And all right, we'll go for a little bit longer. But Kevin, let me ask you. I would normally say your best evidence, but what really convinced you? Why? Well, first of all, my question would be, what religion? You're a Muslim, right? You said.
That's correct.
Why? What was the thing that clicked and you were like, wow, okay.
You always a Muslim?
Now I can't deny it.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So basically, it was the criticism of God. So God has neither been begotten nor begotten. And that's a fundamental, I guess, difference between Islam and Christianity, in that Christianity believes in a Trinity that believes that, God begot a son, and the son is somehow, is the son of the creator of the universe, which doesn't make any sense because it contradicts itself. So why would an infinite being begot something that's finite? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then also
they would say it's not finite, but okay.
Yeah, well, Jesus did die, so either on the cross or actually, that's
they're going to say he had two natures. His human nature died, but his divine nature lived on.
I'll say, if he was a living person, he definitely died. I'd
human
part of
that's what I'm saying. Well, if he died on the cross, he would rot in the ground, right? So, yeah. So that's
but
basically.
He was
I don't
special.
believe that.
It's called a special pleading. Yeah, special.
Yeah. So that was basically like that was kind of like the key of unlocking, reading, because when you're reading the Bible, it's through a lens of reading through the Trinity, and once you discern that, it's when you're reading the Bible or the Quran or the Torah, when you read it through Islamic lens, it's God directly giving you instructions as opposed to reading it through a Trinity, which would be more rational. And so that's basically it. Now I'll go back into the existence. Since we only have 10 minutes, I just maybe we could do another thing where we get more into the weeds with these things, but just 10 minutes.
It's actually where we were at, I believe, 20 minutes right now.
We can do a full debate another time.
Okay.
Well, another time, or we'll do more episodes and you can come on. We'll
get more in the weeds.
But yeah. I just want to say we're going to agree with you that we think that the Christian claims are funny, and a Trinity once again, don't come from a family of Trinities. And so, but my question would then be, It sounds like you're saying why you think it's the Quran over the Bible.
Because the Quran is the most preserved document that of directly instructions from God, as opposed to the Bible, which has been edited many times, and there's many books, and there's still many what you say evidences that it was the Council of Nicaea that came up with the Trinity concept, and
but can I ask
so
you?
it didn't directly come from the source, which would be the prophet Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, we don't believe that Jesus was a prophet, so you guys may still think he's one in a line, but is it the fact that it's preserved? Is that why you're convinced of Islam?
Yes, because it doesn't necessarily mean that we only view through one book. Christians will say that the Quran is heresy, but it did say that in Ishmael was to have kings and to rule over lands, and so like Christians usually have this argument that Ishmael is angry and chaotic, and he was begotten when Abraham had him out of
Trist.
without the direction of God, as opposed to it was just his own human desire that he begot them. So Ishmael is like a bit of a curse, but not necessarily in that Ishmael is kind of like when you've fallen away from the faith. Ishmael comes in and kind of reminds you, gives you a kick in the butt, and kind of smacks you around a little bit, and then you get yourself in order, kind of thing.
We'll find Captain Ahab, and then we'll get everything situated with Ishmael.
And I just want to send love. I'm looking at Facebook. Absolutely. Is it a sim? We have the link in chat. Feel free to join in the StreamYard link. Send in love.
So we haven't done a detailed Quran study yet, but I think once we get into that, we'll unpack
we will eventually be doing a skeptic Quran study.
We'll be
right now, we have a sister show. Aaron Ra runs a lovely skeptic Quran study every Sunday, so go check that out.
I would say the Quran is the most liberal book out of all three Abrahamic faiths.
So here we go, because I had Abraham, Ishmael. You said of all the Abrahamic faiths, it's the most reliable.
Liberal, you said too.
Oh,
liberal.
The most liberal?
The most liberal, yeah.
In terms of like religious freedom of the Abrahamic faiths.
He seems,
because Christianity basically shuns Islam because it came before Islam, and Islam recognizes all of the Abrahamic faiths and all the Abrahamic prophets,
and that generally
Muhammad was the
what
last
happened.
prophet of God.
I will say that's just generally what happened. The old religion never accepts the new, and the new religion does as much marketing to cling to the old religions as they can. They just do it differently, different
The Mormons
PR.
accept the New Testament, but the most Christians don't accept the Book of Mormon.
But the the Mormons say they're Christian. They want badly
Mormons
to be
don't believe in the
Christian.
Trinity. Probably the Mormons have more in common with Muslims than Christians.
Well, they're also
I think so.
the third, the third in line. But it's how you market oneself. They don't market themselves like Islam. Islam markets themselves differently. They're like the last prophet. And then the Mormons are like, here's the last prophet over here, but here's Jesus. And so,
and he really came to America. He really did. You have all the evidence you need. You just believe it by faith, and then there you go. He really came. There you go.
That's what she or he said.
Okay, so I
wasn't faking it. He really did come.
I would like to get back to the, I guess, where you came from. So usually atheists would say, I came from my father's sperm and my mother's egg.
Well, we might not get
And
that.
then I would
specific,
ask-
probably.
This is going to
And then I would
abiogenesis.
ask-
Just say it.
What were you before your parents existed?
What were you? What was I before my parents existed?
Correct.
I would be. Well, it would just be my grandfather, grandmother, and so it would be by them, and hanging out in the genitals of them, depending on which generation you're asking.
So you can basically go back to the beginning of man, right? You can go your great grandparents, your great great grandparents, and you basically go back to
It's
the
a
origin of
gradient.
man. Yeah.
It's a gradient. So you would have something. Other apes get a lot of shit, but it's something that, because we're always like, haha, when we're all this hairless stuff, but it would be something over here that would definitely be an ape ancestor, whatever the first ape was that gave birth to all the other apes. And then there would be a human over here. And how far do you want to go back? I mean, if you look over
You
here,
can get into
it kinda looks-
hybrids.
well,
Hybrids?
Yeah.
hybrids it's a gradient. So it's like saying, it's like
Right.
putting red and blue over here. There is, if your hybrid is the purple in the center,
Like,
but that's because they're kind of the ones that the creationists and they try and go, is that a human or a man? They try and put it in.
you can ask them, and they'll give you different answers at different
Yeah.
times. You can show
Okay.
them
So
Africanus
what's-
alfarensis, and they'll tell you it's human. Then they'll tell you it's ape. And then all humans have some Neanderthal DNA, some more than others.
Okay.
But we all have
And
some.
actually-
So
component.
I can get like DNA, like I can be related to an ape somehow.
You
we
are
are
related to an ape. You are.
And it is
You're
my
related
pet
to a
peeve.
tomato.
I very much dislike. In fact, they always ask, you're related to a tomato. Not only are we related to the tomato, but we're really related to the tomato plant. It's just funny because we look
Tomatoes
at
are fruit, yeah.
the genitals. We go, haha, we're related to the genitals. No, we're related to the entire plant in a long stream of. But yes, it's funnier when we just say we're related to tomatoes because it's true.
Okay.
But I guess we're going to say to be continued.
Okay.
Because we're going to have more fun. I think we're about to bring in another theist because I think Bubble, though, if you, I'm trying to figure out, I know Randolph says he wants to hang on and say something.
Amaretto is a tomato.
Well, I guess I'm trying to think, Randolph, how this is our first time. I'm trying to think of the order.
This is our
We
first
have to
time.
do-
We
have
don't know
to-
what we're doing yet.
Yes, we're still bringing in the format. We're still doing it live. But as I scream into the microphone, but I think we're gonna get Bubble in, and then
You on our Discord, Dr. Kevin?
if Kevin's listening, he could come back, or you could talk with Bubble. We only have a maximum occupancy of 3 to 4 because we're just doing call-in shows, going one because we prefer one at a time. We're trying to get into people's brains. We're doing it great. Sending so much love out there. And
Join the
okay,
Discord.
Kevin, I'm at least going to put you backstage for now. It has been a pleasure, and we are very much going to go
Yeah.
on the Discord afterwards. And yeah, fun having you on.
Okay.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Randolph.
And all right, we are bringing in
Bubblegum.
Bubble Gum.
Bubblegum.
How are you doing, Bubble? We are calling me skeptical, both James and I, but hey, all of us here, no matter who you are, can call in skeptical. So we're looking at you and saying hi and asking for some evidence for God. Hope
Hello.
you're doing well.
Hi,
On your
Bubble.
mind.
Hi, I'm fine. Well, I just getting kicked from like every Christian server.
Well,
A Discord or
Discord, YouTube, you name it. StreamYard, like I think every platform now.
see,
every
we
platform.
kind of get a rush from being told we're wrong. I generally go, oh, really? Tell me more. I don't know if that's always the best approach. Hey, best in show, send in love, and
No,
everybody in show.
Even I get the rush. Like I'm looking for like a truth that will shock me to my core. That's what I'm always looking for.
Oh,
But
I've got it for you.
and then you get blue balls and like God.
She can't
I
get enough
remember
of
that
those.
on Pornhub. But speaking of something similar to that, oh my transitions.
Hey.
Bubble, we're
Hmm?
looking for evidence for God. What are your thoughts?
It's kind of simple. Okay, let's say we start at the number 50, and we're trying to get to 100, and zero is also at the other end. And if we're taking 3 steps back and 1 step forward, are we ever going to get to 100?
If we're taking 3 steps forward and 1 step back.
No, 3 steps back, 1 step forward.
3 steps back, 1 step forward. No. We're gonna keep on. It's not gonna. The gains are not going to equal.
Okay,
Does it have to do with a God?
no. This has to do with mutations. Mutations that become permanent. While we do have some that do become are beneficial, those are very rare, and the ones that are bad for us, those are more. That's the 3, and so from that conclusion alone, it cannot function.
Wait, we're talking about mutations. Are we talking about evolution?
I think he is, yeah.
Yeah, the theory of evolution cannot work because of this fact.
Can I ask you, Bubble, if we were to prove evolution true to your satisfaction, would you stop believing in a God?
Or
Oh, yeah.
all the gods.
Or at least the creator God. I mean, he proved evolution.
Then why are we
Wow.
talking about evolution? I
Me-
heard you, but
No, but, if it's not evolution, it has to be creation. And the reason it can't be aliens because they would have to face the same mutation.
Right, you're just kicking the can down the road.
No, that's not what I'm trying to do.
but evolution doesn't work like the example you gave. There are lots and lots of mutations.
Mm-hmm.
Some
most
of
are-
them,
Most of them are neutral.
No,
and most
but
of them
yeah,
are benign. Some of them are harmful, like cancer. Some
Most
of
of
them are good, like having webbed feet. But
Yeah,
most of them just go
yeah,
unnoticed.
yeah. But this thing, I'm not counting the unharmful ones. Those aren't the problem. The problem is the ones that are not beneficial.
Well, those animals die. They tend not to reproduce as much
Where
as the
natural
other
selection
animals.
comes from.
Yeah.
But here's the point.
That's the thing. Those mutations get passed down the genome.
How do they get passed down if the animal dies? They don't get passed down.
They have because those mutations happened before. Like they have intercourse.
But it doesn't matter. Evolution has nothing to do with a god.
No, the thing. If
Not a thing. All right.
Well, he's
so
saying
we're
he
gonna-
doesn't believe in creation, or if
Well-
if without evolution he has to believe. Creation.
Let's take evolution out. Is that what you're saying? That you have to believe creation because you don't believe in evolution?
well, that's the
think
thing.
that's
If evolution is not correct, it has to be some sort of creation, and the reason it can't be aliens is because they would have to face the same conundrum.
Okay, let's start backwards. From that example,
Mhm.
why do you believe creation's real?
Because while we do have 1 or 2 positive mutations, the majority that do become implanted are negative.
Like what?
That is evolution, and I would really need to see papers that say that we get more more harmful mutations than benign or beneficial mutations.
The benign ones don't matter. Like I'm not counting those. Of course, they're not going to do
Right.
anything.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly.
Yeah, but the thing is that the bad ones exist and they're accumulating, and that's
Yeah.
the
How do they
problem.
accumulate though if they don't remain in the gene pool?
They do because they do have intercourse. Like just because you're born with a bad mutation doesn't mean you die automatically.
But they have intercourse at lower rates, so they might not exit the gene pool immediately, but
no
they have
animal,
much lower likelihood of remaining in the gene pool.
no
So
animal.
they will be filtered out over time.
No animal knows if they have a
Can
bad
I
mutation.
can I give you my definition of evolution?
Sure, go ahead.
It's that genes randomly mutate
Hmm.
and the environment naturally selects them.
The environment does not have a conscience. You have agents.
No, it doesn't.
Well, hold on. Here's the better question. Are you asking me how does the environment naturally select? Like, how does that happen? Because I can explain how the environment would naturally select. I can give you a great example.
I would say
And
the animals choose, right? The animals choose within
no,
the.
I'll give you a clear-cut example. Okay? Imagine a forest where all the bark is brown, and there are a bunch of butterflies, and there are red butterflies and brown butterflies, and they move into this forest.
Mhm.
What happens is slowly, over time, the red butterflies get eaten by prey because the brown butterflies have a natural camouflage. And sooner, rather than later, these little buggies get to where it's just brown eventually. And so they have the environment. In other words, what dictated the fact that the red buggies went away? The fact that it was brown bark. I could have picked any color, but it was brown. It happened to be that color, and so it just happened that those brown bugs got a good dice roll and managed to have camouflage. And that is natural selection action because those brown buggies can then pass on their genes and make more brown buggies.
Yeah, it's not moral. Nobody. It's not. It's an undirected
or an
process.
agent.
Nobody cares. It's
Yeah,
just nature.
Yeah, but mutations do not stop. They're happening all the time.
Right.
Sure, those red buggies are going to get eliminated. That doesn't eliminate the mutations are still happening.
No,
and
they don't. They don't.
Yeah, of course not. And they don't. So those mutations are still happening, and the bad ones are still accumulating.
They don't accumulate though, because if you get a bad enough mutation, you're not going to be able to pass those genes on. It's maybe just a little bit bad. You might be able to pass it on, but over time, the environment will select that. Like if you look at nature, if you look at the courtship and mating rituals, everything that's trying to go on is they're trying to find out, is this female and this male a good partner? Are their genetics good? Are they strong? Are they, do they have the qualities that we want to have in a future offspring? And that's why we're attracted to what we're attracted to. It's an evolutionary mechanism. It's designed to try to maximize good traits, minimize bad traits.
Because you can't you can try to minimize, but they're still happening more than the positive ones.
I don't know how you can make that claim.
I don't know how. Yeah.
Because most mutations are negative.
Because the positive ones are going to give you a big advantage. You're going to live longer, you're going to have more kids, and you're going to be selected more for breeding purposes. So you're more likely to pass those genes on.
Yeah, but you don't know your genes until they express them.
You don't. But the environment selects for you. Go ahead.
And so, once again, though, I asked, what was the best example that you think for creationism? And you said evolution isn't true, but that's a circle to me, because how about this? Creationism. Why do you believe in a God? Like, what is the actual reason that made Bubble go, holy moly, I'm a theist. I really need to believe in this. I really need to believe in this God concept.
Well, of course, I can't give you my personal experience because you're just like, it's a fantasy you saw, a mirage, and so when I knew that most mutations are negative, that means evolution was not viable mathematically.
Can I ask? I'm going to interrupt you. Were you an atheist before this moment?
I didn't even care what it was. I wasn't really even thinking about it.
You did. So you were apathetic. You were apathetic, really, and then you uncovered these views, and this became.
Yeah, I mean, look at the facts. You got to come up with a theory. What theory fits the facts?
So you are aware that the overwhelming majority of biologists and geneticists overwhelmingly believe they've looked at your statement about negative mutations, and they hand wave that away. It's nonsense to them. It is no barrier whatsoever to the theory. And you're just going to say, well, I think they're all wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Evolution isn't true. But I mean, these are the people who have spent decades studying and researching this very field. And have you done any type of research into that? Or are you just, oh, well, I don't see how they could filter out the negative mutations. Therefore, all the work they've done is invalid. I'm going to believe in a God. I mean,
No, because we barely found out about because the theory of evolution is a theory from the 1800s. We barely found out about the DNA genome around the 1950s.
Okay.
So you're using 1800 science.
But wait. Do you see what you just did there? The genome verifies evolution. So you took the thing.
It doesn't, because mutations are more negative than they are positive.
but you can't say how do you what basis do you say that? Where's your evidence for that? That's just a baseless assertion, and it's not even true.
And I just don't get. It feels like we keep on going back, where you're like, it's not evolution, and then we're like, okay, why creationism? And you're like, because evolution isn't true.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, because mathematically there are like if you look at it mathematically, it's impossible. Because I'm more of an economist than I am a biologist, and so
You have a paper with this mathematics.
Oh yeah, you can actually. I don't have it on me, but
That's okay. The next show, I just want to interrupt to say, sending love to Jason Avaretto. I see Materialist Dan, Jen. Everybody out there sends in hi. We are asking for evidence for God on our first episode of Call Me Skeptical. But my thing with evolution is it's one of those things that we see in the day-to-day. It's one of all the things that the creationists pick to choose. And let's narrow it down even more. Do you believe in micro and macro, a separation between micro and macro evolution?
No. Are you talking like a variation?
I'm just asking. Those are terms that
No,
I know what they are generally in scientific terms, but I'm now asking.
Would you be okay with horses and zebras having an ancestor, or lions and tigers having
like
a common
dogs.
ancestor?
Or micro, I don't even want to say it because I just want to know.
No.
Ken Hovind says microevolution.
Oh yeah. Absolutely not. This is why I don't trust the Christians. Because like I asked the Christians this exact same question. Like, if you want to prove your theory to me, turn this Chihuahua into a German Shepherd, or vice versa, and they can't do it.
But are you aware that all the dog breeds today were bred from the wolf?
Wait.
Right?
First of all,
so they took wolves and they manipulated their breeding, and we got Chihuahuas and we got Great Danes from the same genetic code.
No, I don't believe that.
Can we take this claim again?
Nope.
Hold on. What was the claim? Because I'm pretty sure your claim we can do. Like, you are picking artificial selection. If you're saying make this dog bigger, that's like textbook. We could absolutely do that shit. That is dogs. Dogs ineffectively.
So
we took a wolf and we were like, I bet you I can do 1,000 different things with this thing. And we created dogs.
So you're saying you can take 2 purebred Chihuahuas and turn them into a husky?
I'm saying that huskies and chihuahuas can still mate if you could push them up against or artificially do it. All dogs can mate.
If you can raise that Chihuahua
even though
to a Great Dane.
they look that they're really far apart, they can still.
Just because they can interbreed doesn't mean they have the same ancestors.
No, it does. No,
they're the same species.
That's actually the definition.
Right, they're the same species, Bubble.
What else are you looking for?
No, it doesn't mean that. This is why I ask Kent Hope and all the Christians, if you want to prove your theory, take 2 purebred Chihuahuas and turn them into a husky.
Well, I mean,
But
your
wait.
thing is, yeah. Go ahead.
If we took two purebred dogs and it just took us a little while, but we were able to create another giant dog, would you then believe there is no God?
Like a big old, like the size of a husky.
Oh yeah, size of a husky, maybe even bigger. Who knows?
Maybe even the size
Yeah.
of Texas, a Texas
That's
size.
it. That's so we found. Okay, we need to get.
Yeah,
But
if you can
you see, Bubble, it
because
doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't even happen in your lifetime. It would
No, but-
take longer than you would be alive, but you would be able to see notable progress.
because you're
Artificial selection, you'd be
'cause
able to do pretty fast.
because you're proving evolution when you do that. Look, you're saying there's this mutation that became generational
Right.
and beneficial.
So-
That's true evolution.
So
That's
1,000 years ago, there were no Great Danes, there were no Chihuahuas, there were just wolves.
No, I'm saying all the way back then there was
You think
Chihuahua.
God made a Chihuahua kind, a Great Dane kind, a German Shepherd kind, a Husky kind?
I wouldn't say kind. I would just say that he made a Chihuahua. He
Okay.
made a husky.
Okay.
Yeah.
No evidence of that in the fossil record, but in the genetic record, they're all descended from wolves.
Well, that's just a theory.
And my mic should sound better now. La da
Oh,
da
your
di
mic
da.
sounds amazing.
Also, you just, if there was like the trigger word behind the door, ding, 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 that's just the theory.
Yeah.
That's just the theory, is like saying that is just the highest
Well, it's
thing
a
that we could
18.
achieve in science.
It's
and
an
I hate-
1800. It's a theory from the 1800s that's not
I mean,
compatible with
The theory of gravity.
No, hold on. Did you just say a theory is a theory from the 1800s?
No, I'm saying the theory of evolution is a theory from the 1800s.
Okay, just making sure. Because a theory is a framework of facts.
Sorry, my bad.
No, you're fine. We're having good back and forth. We'll go for another 10 minutes, and then
So,
we'll bring Randolph
yeah.
in, and I think Randolph will probably want to be in with the theist. We got one extra special guest host slot on this show, so we're having fun tonight as we're looking for evidence for a god. I mean, I don't know.
You know
I
how
asked,
Darwin came up with the theory of evolution? You know-
Oh yeah, the finches. Yeah, I can explain the finches.
hey,
the-
Leo.
The finches beak. Darwin's finches, the beaks. It's just seasonal. They get bigger and smaller. It has to do with the promoting. So like
That's-
during one season, it'll promote a bigger beak, and during another season, it'll promote a small depromote for a
That's
smaller
not
beak.
really all of it, but
So take me back there, Bubble.
Hmm?
You were apathetic, which I'll be honest with you, I was apathetic about religion for probably most of my 20s. Like, did not care. As soon as I really made the deal with my mom after the bar and bat mitzvah, I was like, boop, and it became film, video games, karaoke. And so you were apathetic, just like me. You came across evolution, creation. What were the documents that you came across?
Well, I was just taught regular evolution in school, and
Just okay.
yeah, and then I was taught. I thought it was weird, but when I first saw DNA, I didn't get it at the time, but I knew it was just weird and confusing to me. So I just abandoned it. Didn't try to make sense of it, and then I realized it was digital code.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, sure. Okay, so finding out DNA was digital code.
Mhm.
I'm trying to let me take this a different direction. Do you think this god is a mind?
I would say so. Yeah.
A mind. Okay. And loose definition, just what do you mean by a mind? I have mine, but what do you mean by that?
You know, anything with intellect and intent.
All right.
A will, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps it will.
making choices and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you came to this because of a paper about DNA?
No, no, I just regular school. I was like, you know how they teach
Is
about evolution.
your high school textbook article?
Yeah.
Article on DNA. Okay.
Okay, so a mind intellect. Is it paying attention to us right now?
Probably not. I don't know. That I don't know.
Probably not. That's
Maybe
interesting. Okay. So, is it existing outside time and space? That whole spiel?
I would say some of them would have to be.
Whoa. You said some of them. What do you mean by some of them? Are there multiple gods?
Polytheist. He is a polytheist. Remember?
You are a polytheist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you believe in multiple gods. I mean, a lot of monotheists shit on polytheists, but I feel like from the atheist viewpoint, it's really not that much sillier.
Yeah, like just read the Gnostic text. It's polytheist.
Well, I know the Jews came up in a time that they're kind of like a transitional religion in that they had they grew up in a polytheistic culture, and they're like, but we have our guy.
Yeah, like the original Israelites were polytheists.
So there are many gods. What is your definition of a god?
Just an entity with like powers that can at least circumvent the laws of physics.
Powers that can circumvent
beyond
the
human
laws of
capabilities.
physics. So, does that include universe creation?
I would think so, yeah, because they're setting laws. If you're talking about the pantheists, right?
No, he's just meaning, did your God create the universe, or did they?
Oh, what was that?
Oh, sorry, that was me ripping. And I think
Did your God create the universe, or did the universe already exist and they became to be from the universe?
Oh, that I actually don't know. I've seen conflicting texts. Yeah, I can't say I know that.
Okay.
And all right, we'll go for about 5 more minutes, but we'll do more. That'll be that'll be a good 30 minutes. It goes so fast. And so
it's so fast.
I know, like all of our first times, ladies and gentlemen.
So
it happens.
DNA is really just a chemical, right? It's a chemical, and we're using numbers and symbols to describe what it is, but it's not numbers and symbols. It's just chemicals.
It's not the fact that they're chemicals. It's that the fact that they're in a sequence.
Okay.
And that's
I mean, we do know that really complicated sequences can form themselves on their own, like amino acids can form spontaneously without a god zapping and poofing them into existence, right?
No, the thing with like comparing it to like crystallization, that coding is just A B A B A B. The DNA code is more like Shakespeare.
No, we're talking about like amino acids, which are used to make proteins, like the components of proteins.
How is it more like Shakespeare?
Because, like, for example, in crystallization, it follows like a simple, A B A B order, and this is why you get in the same shape. But in DNA,
but so do movie theater tickets.
Movie theater tickets.
Crystallization,
it makes Shakespeare, but it also it could be just. Oh, the other thing is, it could just be data. because that is what most of the stuff out there, information tends to be things that a brain has to
Exactly. Right there.
concise.
You got it.
See, but they don't have information. It's
Yeah,
it's just going. It's just a chemical reaction.
No, the DNA sequence is information.
It's just chemicals and particles following the laws of physics. That's
It's not.
all that
It's
they're
not
doing.
It's not that they're
following-
It's not that they're chemicals. It's that they're in a sequence that is.
Are they doing anything that contravenes the laws of physics, or are they strictly following the laws of physics at all times?
They're not contradicting the laws of physics.
So they're behaving in the only way they can behave, because that's the only way anything can behave.
And
Okay,
it is a digital code.
Well, that's if you're gonna say like if they're only behaving the way they're gonna behave. That's like saying a rock was gonna turn into an iPod.
But rocks don't turn into iPods.
Exactly, they turn into crystallized rocks.
But
Sure, they look pretty and they have a shape, but it's still AB kind of.
iPods
But
are made by humans.
There's a difference between a rock and then a living organism. Can we at least agree there?
Yeah, but it's still following the laws of physics, like you stated.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and so the other thing is, it is a digital code because digital codes have existed for billions of years before artificial codes came around. And then after billions of years of just agents of just, even recently, just cows and cow-like organisms chewing on things. And then in the past 100,000 years, there came, where's Grandpa, along things that could actually take stones and start writing on tablets. And within the past 20 to 10,000 years, we started getting literature and we started getting super fancy. But for most of life, it was just natural codes. That's all there was.
Yeah, but all those codes are usually just a bit like the crystallization again. It's just AB, and that's fine. But like when you get into Shakespeare, that's something else.
Yeah, Shakespeare.
So by the laws of physics, if you take a rock, you could melt a rock, right? By the laws of physics, the way you combine those chemicals in DNA, they like to replicate themselves, right?
Yeah, but
that's what they do.
No laws of physics is gonna tell itself to like make an iPod and then make a Kim Kardashian song.
But do you know why?
Because that would.
Answer no.
Because that would require intent or a mind behind it.
And can I tell you the only example we have of creators? There's only one example. Animals. Only creators we know of.
Well, that's the thing. You don't need a radio for a radio signal.
Right. I mean, everything is a radio signal,
Yes.
right? In a way, it's all streams
And
of
do you know the
information.
difference between the radio and the radio signal?
Well, the one is a physical, tangible object, you could say. The other is not.
Sure. Though you could technically, the sound waves go through you. The answer we were more looking for is that a radio is something we build, and the sound waves just exist. So if a tree falls, the sound wave just comes out. But we actually built the radio. We contrast the natural with what is artificial.
Yeah, we did make radios.
So you can put your ear up to Saturn. You won't hear anything, but if we turn a radio telescope into Saturn, we hear lots of noise, and that's because we're getting signals from it's just outside the range of our ears are designed to pick up, because evolution decided that those sounds are not important for our survival. We should probably tune those out and just worry about the tiger that's about to jump out of the bush and eat you, instead of listening to the planet Jupiter or Saturn.
Yeah.
And all right, so I think we're going to transition into something new, because I know that Randolph wants to come in, but I think he wants to ask Bubble something. And so we are going to let Randolph come in, and we'll probably do some more fun while we have a theist
Join the
on.
threesome.
But I will say, woohoo, that's right, baby. We are looking for more theist callers. We're probably going to go for a little bit longer. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. It has been going by so fast.
Woo-hoo.
Oh man.
Woo-hoo. And so the link is in chat. I'll send it again. But if you have views that disagree with ours, now is the time to join us as we are looking for evidence for God as we do our first episode of Call Me Skeptical. All right, everyone. We're gonna bring in Randolph here. Randolph Richardson, the
Godfather
lovely
himself.
godfather of atheism. Hope you are doing well. And what are your thoughts
The Goonies.
about evidence for God?
Yeah, my daughter gave me this shirt.
Goonies.
I loved this movie when I was a
That
kid,
is vintage, yeah.
along with a lot of other 80s movies. Thank you very much for having me on. I will, as an atheist, of course, I don't profess to have evidence of any deities. What I have put out, because especially Christians have asked me before, what would it take to prove to me that their all-knowing and all-powerful God is real. And so to that I say that all that deity needs to do is to grant me omniscience and omnipotence for about a fortnight. That's 2 weeks, so that I can verify all of this for myself. It goes from there. The kinds of responses I've had include people trying to negotiate how much time I would actually need instead of some other path, which I found interesting, and others saying that I can't be trusted because they suspect I may use these powers to destroy God. So I, of course, I'm happy to add the stipulation that there can be a limitation on my power, that I can't do anything to affect
Destroy
God in a
yeah.
negative way. So those are the kinds of things I just would really like to justify, like to have some kind of evidence, and that would be sufficient evidence for me of proof that the deity is real, because with omnipotence, I'd be able to do certain things like explore parts of the universe and verify certain things and do some experiments.
Or other universes. Create your
Yeah,
own
well,
universe.
find out if that's true. Exactly. That's a good point. A great point. And the other thing is, the reason I would need omniscience paired up with that is to make sure that I use omnipotence correctly and safely without creating problems unintentionally. So that's basically my point in a nutshell. I hope I kept it under 2 minutes for you.
You did good. A minute and 40 seconds, in fact. And all right.
That's
Not a
about
minute and
our
40
last normal,
because I like
right,
that
Amy?
number 42, I tell you. I almost
That's
got to
right,
42.
42. And I will say we're going to... Randolph specifically wanted to talk with Bubble, so we're using his time. But then, if you are a theist, jump on, and we'll go back to our lovely fun. But... and the link is in chat. I'm going to send it one more time. The gangbang continues, yes. But
Yeah, we're waiting best, but
The Bubbles, I
maybe
remember.
we'll get some.
I remember saying I would be willing to talk
love you, Nate.
with Dr. Kevin B, who was on earlier. Is that Bubbles?
No, yeah, I'm Bubbles,
Did
but
it
I'm not
again.
Kevin.
Love you, Mike.
Yeah. So it's because I remember Dr. Kevin B was making points about morality. And so that's kind of what I was saying. I was mentioning in the chat I'd be willing to talk with them about morality. So I think Bubbles is focusing more on the biology side of it, which is a bit out of my area.
It's fine. Do you have a question for me?
I don't. Mine was actually meant for Kevin earlier.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I'll step
really?
out then. Yeah, you get Kevin
I'm
then.
sorry that got misunderstood. So
No, it's fine. All right. See you guys.
Have a good night, Bubbles.
Thank you, Bubbles.
We have
And all
another
right,
theist
thank
back
you,
there. Speak of
Bubbles
the
and
devil.
Randolph. We're going to put you backstage
Thanks for
because
having me on.
we got Jen on.
Thanks,
And send in a love to you. Thank you for being on The Godfather of Atheism.
Godfather of 80s movies.
Oh, do. Okay. Do.
Hello,
Jen.
What
friend.
is up,
Hey,
Jen?
Jen.
I heard something about a gangbang, and I was like, all
Oh.
right, I gotta get on now.
You're never going to live that one down, Jen. I'm sorry. You're going to be hearing about that one forever.
It's been
It's near and dear
bubbling
to
up
our
for
heart.
a really long time because hey Amy, hey Jake, hi audience. Yeah, that one's been like some come out, you know, right away as soon as I have the thought, but that one has sort of been simmering for like probably over a decade. But anyway, so is this a new format where people just come on one in a row, one after the other? So I noticed Amy's taking
This
notes.
is
It seems
our
a little
new.
different. Nice.
It's our new call-in show. Though we love our open mic, so we're probably gonna do. We got 3 different one of those. Yeah. We have one of this, and then kind of like a premiere
the
show and Debate Me Bra. We're
Oh,
becoming a whole channel, baby.
The
I love
Amy
the
Newman
variety.
Network,
awesome.
the ANN, soon to be on cable TV. Hopefully,
I'll get to be able to say I was there since like I don't know if the beginning, but almost the beginning. Last shot, you can't get
close enough. Close enough.
Well, we run late. I almost was on time, and then setting up everything. And
it's
then...
part of your charm. It's like we're gonna go for about 10 more minutes. 3 hours later,
yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, basically.
Well, I think you already know my position with regards to the question about the show. It's that God is the ground of evidence, so there can't be evidence for the thing that is the source of evidence. So, it's definitional. Like I think that's why some people call me an atheist, because it technically like is scientific, but probably what you might call like paranormal. Because I do believe in stuff like what you could call ghosts and stuff like that. But
so you do believe in magic? Because I've heard you tell people that they don't want evidence for magic.
Yeah, because magic is getting people to do what you want. It's basically mind control. So it's like, do you want me to mind control you to prove you that I can do it? Because you probably don't. Not you, but like this hypothetical person asking, like,
I'd say don't threaten Amy with a good time.
You know? Like, yeah, I'm gonna go into your head and extract that thing that you're thinking. Do you really want?
Dude, Jedi mind trick.
Not that I would do it, because it's just like I haven't trained myself in any way, shape, or form to be able to do that. And I've definitely accidentally read minds a couple times for people that were thinking in the wrong direction. But in a way, that's on them. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to like argue or anything. I feel like we're kind of on the same page with regards to skepticism and stuff.
Yes,
skepticism is just
I am giving you hearts.
Yeah. You just look at everything and say, I'm just going to call the universe God because people like gods. Therefore, it's God. Is that a sort of a fair way of saying it?
Nothing else makes sense to me.
Okay.
I just always thought that. So to not think it would, it's inconceivable, basically.
Have you always been a theist?
Yeah, I've always believed in this God. So when other people had different conceptions of God, it's always been very...
Have you always been pantheist? Or...
Yeah, I've always basically had the exact same view. It's just that the opinion is more developed now. Like I haven't always been able to prove the physics and science stuff that I can, because I've got the practice now. But it's the same essential belief. Is super simple. Just the universe is God. The laws of the universe are esoteric, I think the word is. Like there's a certain obviousness to how the laws of how the universe works, but then there's this huge like portion of laws that just we can't really make sense of fully. We could sort of draw vague connections between certain causal things, but at the end of the day, it doesn't paint a full picture of the cycle of everything. And I think you have to have theology to do that. It's interesting because I'm not going on the streams themselves, but I'm posting in the chat for these Wolfram streams. I don't know if you know who that is. This guy who made like a bunch of online help with math and physics calculations.
So you did a math stream a couple weeks back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. That's sort of neither here nor there. But these people are like discovering some universal math, and a guy
that one of the guys I stream with, Memes of Destruction, put me onto, called Thad Roberts, who has this topology, which is the super like I don't know how to describe it. It's like really niche math solution to basically it predicts stuff like the speed of light hypothetically, but it's so complicated that I don't even understand it. So I don't want to say I endorse it, but I'm interested in it that it might be true.
It's got to fit your model of physics, otherwise it's not true, right? It's got to work within that framework.
If there may be something better than what I have, I'm open to that. Like I truly am a skeptic. Like
amending your theory, maybe putting an addendum.
I mean, wouldn't that be great? Because that would mean that somebody was that smart that they could actually do that. Wouldn't that be kind of awesome?
You might actually have a peer one day.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it. Okay, I'm sorry. That just came out wrong. But like, what if a colleague? I'm fine with colleague. Because we're all debaters, right? We're all YouTubers, debaters, so we're colleagues.
Colleagues.
Peers, you know what peer makes me think of? I'll just say this one last thing, then I'll go. But peer makes me think of you're doing a test at school, and you're like peering onto the other person's page to copy their work. That's what peer review makes me like cheating on a test.
That's kind of I'm looking in front of me at my peer. Or I'm looking in front for their...
like, isn't this what peering is?
Well, that's...
But isn't it? I don't know.
In a way, I guess. You give up your secrets a little bit. You got to let the cat out of the bag. Tell everybody your research and what it shows. And they get to poke around and see if what you do makes sense. Yeah, poke around, Amy. Go ahead.
Jason's not impressed with my antics. Anyway, I'm going to be debating Mark. Woohoo! On Saturday.
Where? When?
MDD.
On modern day.
Sure the time.
What is the topic?
Evolution. And
Evolution.
I think we just spent 20 minutes debating that.
Yeah, I'm going to take you the negative. I'm going to try to bring some interesting, like, Socratizing to it. Sort of the way T-Jump approached my worldview. I'm going to do a similar treatise of the evolution paradigm. So I'm hoping it'll be... I'm actually fairly confident it'll be smooth because Mark's a great guy. So
Mark is a great guy.
Yes, send a love to Mark.
Saturday night, modern day debate. That will be awesome. Wow.
Thanks for having me. I'll talk to everyone later.
Have a good night, Jen. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye, Jen. And all right, we're going to go for a little bit longer, but we're probably going to start to wrap up and head to Discord soon. I've been having fun. James, having a good time? I think it was pretty well.
This has been great. Yeah, this has been great. This has been getting to hear different points of view. That's what it's all about. Getting to work out that brain muscle, you know. If
good old brain back there.
Ramen? Oh, the pillow.
Ramen.
Inner circle atheist, yeah. I think everybody in chat's been loving it, so I thank everybody for being a part of our first show. Yeah, this is great.
Sending love to chat. We're still going to do our open mics because we are going to still have our Skeptic and Ranting, which is another flagship show, Midnight Ranting, Skeptic Bible Studies,
Those
and
are all
then
open mic, yeah.
Debate Me Bra Baby. We're going to have tons of places for people to have a good time while we're having a good time as interlocutors. Send in another. I'll send the link one more time.
That would be a good debate. We might be obligated to cover that a little bit.
Hey, absolutely. Do an after show even.
Yeah, that
I'm all up for it.
Modern day debate this Saturday. Evolution. Yeah. And I was gonna say before, what Darwin found when he found evolution, when he went to the different islands, he found animals there that don't exist anywhere on Earth. You gotta shake your head like, why is it that there's this animal that nowhere else on the Earth except this one isolated island? Figure out, well, hey, they've been there in this one environment for a long time, isolated. They've been evolving. They've been passed down, like the flightless cormorant, which is like a cormorant, but it can't fly. It's got wings that are too small to be able to support its ability to fly. Seems pretty silly for creation, but for evolution, it's no problem whatsoever. Because if you could fly, they probably wouldn't have got stuck on the islands. So the very rare mutation that would not permit a bird to fly or fly very well would mean it would get stuck on the island. It wouldn't be able to go anywhere else. It would have babies that also probably wouldn't be able to fly. And they'd get stuck there. And after hundreds of thousands of generations, they just can't fly anymore.
Yeah, just natural selection in action.
Natural selection. And the thing you don't see a lot of major changes once an animal is highly adapted to its environment, because any major change would most likely be detrimental because you're already well suited for your environment. So you're not going to see, you look at alligators today, look at alligators millions of years ago, they're basically the same because they're well suited for their environment. They're apex predators. They anything that would be a fundamental change would make them less able to survive. It wouldn't last in the gene pool very long.
I also don't understand just, age of COVID. I think evolution is a fairly easy bet.
New variants coming out. Unless you think God made all those viruses individually and he's just sprinkling them down like little bundles of love on humanity. Because he loves us.
Because he loves us.
Little care packages of love sprinkled down from our Heavenly Father, David Hasselhoff. Hoffman.
Just one empirical evidence. Like,
something reliable. Something reliable. Something that we could, like when you take a element, you measure its mass or you measure its other properties, you can have scientists all over the world that can do that same calculation and get the same result because it's an actual thing we can look at. You don't have that with a God. That's why you have thousands of different religions, and even in those religions, thousands of denominations and sects. Even in those denominations and sects, you still have differences where people, not all Calvinists agree on everything, not all Trinitarians agree on everything, and because there's no way to tell for sure because it's just an abstract concept. Chug it down, Amy. She got a little.
That's right, baby. There. And I will say, I wonder if this is going to be a theme. The more I ask questions about God, the less I get answers about God. It's like, what about God? Anything else? How are the Sixers doing? Okay.
Miami Dolphins, baby.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a run-of-the-mill theme. Like, you see it on the Christian channels all the time. Like John Matt, he doesn't give evidence for God. He just tries to poke holes in genetics and the theory of evolution. Poke.
But I just don't understand if finding out evolution was true means that you believe that no God now exists. But the reason it just seemed very circular. But when I asked him, do you believe because evolution? He'd be like, no. He'd be like, why? I'd be like, well, because evolution can't be real. But we love you, Bubble.
Will Stewart just said something in chat about gravity. And that's true. Well, nobody actually knows the fundamental cause of gravity. We don't know where the force comes from. We don't have an actual understanding of we know what it does. We know the effect it has. We don't understand exactly where it comes from. We don't understand why it seems to be so much weaker than the other forces of nature. And it is because you've got the entire force of the earth pulling down on you. How many tons does the earth weigh? The Ophiolus will be able to give you an answer for that. But, a mortal human like us can defy the laws of gravity just by picking something up. You are outweighing the entire force of the entire earth pulling down on you. Why is gravity so much weaker than like the strong force, the nuclear force? We don't know. But if it wasn't the way that it was, we wouldn't be able to be here to talk about it. So thankfully, things worked out the right way for us.
Woohoo! All right, I'm gonna send one or two more times, but
May
I
the
think
weak force be with you.
we
too,
are wrapping up. It has been a lot of fun, though. There is the StreamYard link, Theist. I hate to say there is no opposite skeptic because, well, there is a word for opposite skeptic. It is
Gullible.
conspiracy theorist or gullible. Gullible is even,
Gullibleness.
but most people do not self-identify as
As
something
gullible.
like that. Yeah. Generally speaking, we have our beliefs because we have been convinced, and Randolph says an anti-skeptic. Yeah.
And like was said before, that you can take skepticism to everything, and there are certain core assumptions we have to make about reality that we don't have empirical proof of. But what we're saying is those should be the minimum that you actually need to be able to operate and to function. Aside from those minimal observations and minimal things that you have to speculate on, outside of that, you should probably require evidence for things.
Yeah, be nice to have just a little bit of empirical evidence. Now, I don't know if Bubble believes in a prophet. That's another thing. I would be very impressed if someone like Dr. Kevin would defend the prophet. He may.
I think he definitely think he would, because he's.
Yeah. I maybe in my view, he would probably be hesitant to defend it with atheists. I think he's the vibe I get, the feeling. It's the same with the Kalam guys. They want to stay in deism land
until they get.
They don't want to. They'll argue about Islam once you're a theist, because now you're on. Now you got to just pick the flavor, and now they can help you pick your flavor. Right. But until then, they got to present what in their mind is the more philosophical, intellectual approach, which generally, you're defending deism. Become a deist then, gosh darn it.
And the thing is, they love it. They get excited. They really tap their fedora when they get to bash the Trinity, and they get to just dogpile and say how silly it is and illogical it is. But they don't hold things in their religion to that same requirement of coherence and logic and reason, because there are lots of things in Islam, and in fact in all religions, that are equally as silly as the Trinity, if not even more silly than the Trinity. So it's just how they can clearly look at Christianity and say, look at that Trinity thing. God's his own father and his own son and his own ghost. How silly is that? Well, it is pretty silly. But
in a Bill Burr, another Bill Burr setup is he's always when you're writing a hate mail, you always got to first establish that you're not one of the, I like comedy, but even for this, that way you've established that even you, and so he has to go, come on, I'm a theist, but even that Christianity thing, and we're we know,
right?
We agree, the Trinity is silly. Now let's talk about that whole prophet going across the moon thing. I just don't get the idea of prophets, the one-on-one with gods.
Right. Because then you don't actually have to have faith so much in the God, but you have to have faith in the prophet, that he is accurately telling you that he is an actual prophet, and that he is actually telling you what God is telling him. You have to have faith in a man, really, at the end of the day.
And no man. Well, another Carlin joke. A god would have to have been male, because no female would have things this badly. But yes.
Line from Predator, there's something out there, and it ain't no man.
It ain't no man.
It ain't no man.
But we have been having fun. This was our first episode of Call Me Skeptical. We were looking for evidence of God. Randolph has been chilling back there for so long. I feel like we should
Chilling
just
like a villain.
pull him back for at least a second before we do our closings, just to say hi.
Before he falls
Randolph,
asleep back there. Because he
We're
is known
about
to do that.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and I think I've done that once on the Discord
happens.
server, which we are about to head to in a second. But I hope you had fun. We talked to some theists, some atheists. Did you have a good time, Randolph?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I had a
Hear me
great show.
now.
I had a great
Good.
time. I had a great time. This is a really good format you've got going. You two are wonderful hosts, and
Glad you liked it, Randolph.
yeah, and you give people a lot of time to speak, and it's really quite a nice conversation that you're having with everybody. I'm glad
We're
you're
not
doing
trying to cut anybody off. We want them
Exactly.
to be able to make their case. Make your case. We're not going to mute you. There's nothing you're going to be able to say.
Because
that,
even if we
don't wanna hear.
disagree, we'll at least be able to understand people's positions a little bit better.
Yeah, I found it interesting listening to people having a chance to speak without being interrupted. I really enjoyed that.
We're trying to be better than some
Right,
of what we
be
see
better.
on the other side. Treat them better than they treat us. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what we're
Yeah.
about doing. And you
Right.
exemplify that, Randolph, because you are just the consummate gentleman, and you always treat everybody with respect and dignity, and that's like your trademark. You're like the godfather of atheism. That's
Godfather of atheism.
what you're well known
No,
for,
you are
know.
quite the mensch, I will say that.
I
Sending love
do.
to-
But my philosophy, well, my personal philosophy is that I believe that everybody deserves at least a basic modicum of respect, and going forward right away, right off the bat, everything respect right from the beginning, because it's easier to converse with people this way.
You're going to get your wish, Randolph, because somebody just popped up in the back.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know. I think we're.
Who's
I
that?
would love to go long, Kevin. I feel like this could go. I'm trying.
You want to give him 5 minutes?
Well, we weren't even doing outros. I just felt bad and brought you in. I feel like
No,
we
I
could go back
appreciate
and
it.
forth
You don't have to
forever.
feel bad. No guilt necessary. It's if you don't have time, it's okay.
What do you think, James? We're learning our format. I feel like
I'm fine with letting them go, because we do have people
oh,
in
that's
YouTube.
right.
You still have 31 viewers watching.
That's right. Kevin and Randolph said he wanted to ask
to Dr.
him,
Kevin.
so I will.
So now Dr. Kevin
I
is
will.
back, so.
Shall I do it? All right.
Okay, there you go.
Whip it out,
a
Amy.
little bit
Oh, no,
longer,
I mean,
whip
An
it out.
academic perspective there. Yeah.
Woo-hoo, from an academic perspective, absolutely. We're
We gotta
having
continue.
fun.
Yep.
We're going for a little bit longer, though this is the running joke of me always doing this. But what can I say? We like to have fun.
We love it. We can't get enough of it. 15 foot is not enough.
15 footers. We're resetting them. Da-da-da-da. All right, Dr. Kevin B., we have been calling me skeptical, asking for evidence. Randolph wanted to ask you some questions pertaining to your answers about the evidence for God.
Actually, it was more about the morality.
Morality.
Dr. Kevin B., thank you for coming back. You had mentioned in the chat earlier, the private chat in backstage, that atheism is the epitome of moral relativism. And so I jokingly asked, epitome, is that the absence of epitome? But seriously, I'm curious about why you have a certain expectation about atheism being an epitome of moral relativism, since my understanding of atheism is that it doesn't promote anything specific about morality. To me, atheism would be amoral is just because it's an incidental thing.
I think it's just basically based off of biology and selective biology, I could say, just from the chat. usually when like our law system has been faith-based, has been like the 3 degrees of murder have been directly quoted from the Bible. So we can thank the Bible for that. And also when it comes to, I was just mentioning earlier about rehab, that's also a form of repentance as well too. And I was just trying to frame it in a way that atheists would understand. In this life, there's also a form of repentance, even in a secular sense. And and living in a free and democratic society, supposedly. You also have freedom of belief. So that is in line with God's values of free will. So you can believe in God's values or you can't. And there is there's always consequences to your choices and your actions and the words that you speak. And
I agree with that.
It's always and that directly is just like a higher being, like, you know, that comes from a higher sense of self, I guess you could say, of policing yourself in a way. That's also a kind of a godsend. Morality, there we go. Whereas
Okay.
atheism, it doesn't. It just subtracts that, and it turns into basically, well, I'm just gonna live for this life. There's no heaven or hell. There's no punishment. So I'm just gonna, rip off the other guy. Not necessarily steal his stuff, but that could be possible too. But I could screw him over at the courtroom, or I could screw him over in a business deal. I could screw him over, with his wife, and there's not really going to be any consequences for me in the afterlife if I can still defend myself. I mean, why not?
But I mean,
So, go ahead, Amy.
well, no, I mean, is the only reason that you don't do bad things to people because is someone's watching?
Yeah, it's basically a higher sense of self. It's a higher sense of morality that humans have. Yes, that we're
But
expected
see,
to
that's
abide
not
by.
why. That's not why I do good. I do good because it feels good and because it helps other people. It has nothing to do with someone watching me 24/7.
I'm
Well,
curious.
yeah, there is instances of dopamine hit, obviously, of helping somebody. And
Yeah.
there is some sort of I'm not going to deny that, but that's you could say that comes from God.
So, you mentioned that there's this reward and punishment in the afterlife, the heaven versus hell scenario, I assume is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that's necessary for people to be really good people?
Yes.
Okay, I disagree with you on that. I'm curious why you think that is necessary for a person to be to keep a person in line and behaving.
Well, the thing is, like I was saying, like self-policing is basically you're under the assumption that you are being watched, because if you're not, then you're like, well, I'm just going to get away with this little thing, and
So
then
to me,
what, I'm just going to get away with this little thing, and then
to me,
next thing
that's
you know, it snowballs, and next thing you know, you have like 20 people who want
see. To me, this sounds like a distrustful attitude toward humanity in general, and to me, this doesn't motivate me to do good. It would make me feel like I'm not trusted, and I think much differently about people than you do in this case, because I find that a lot of people really are good natured, and there are many people I know who, like me, never had any belief in deities, and especially a lot of young children, especially don't even have a concept of it. And then there's tribes in the Amazon where they have no concept of goddesses or gods or any of this kind of afterlife ideas, and they even have moral standards, and many of them will have this kind of good Samaritan attitude, and they're trustworthy people, and they'll just do what the best they can do that they think is right, just like many theists who will include this concept of an afterlife as a motivation and will still make decisions that are good or bad.
And so, Kevin, I'm going to let you respond, but we're going to go for about 5 more minutes, and then we're wrapping up, and we'll all head to Discord.
Yeah, I'm interested in Kevin's perspective on this, so thank you. If he's got the last word here, I'm okay with that.
Well, we got 5 more minutes, guys, then we're heading out.
Well, I have to say, you just have to look at human history and how they always say, you have to learn from history, and it's not necessarily that humans can do good, and that's wonderful, but we're also capable of sin, and also this idea that we're always good and we can do nothing bad. It kind of leaves it leaves a door open for people to justify little wrongs, and then eventually it'll snowball into something that's very destructive. And they always say the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. So you can say you have good intentions, you think humanity has good intentions, but if you look at history, it says on the contrary. But I'm not saying that humans can ascend into another level, but for that to happen, they would always have to believe in some sort of higher moral authority, because who are you to say that stealing is wrong? Like, what authority do you have? Because you say it's wrong. Like, who are you, right? So basically,
I say
you
that.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep. I say that not because there's any higher authority telling me that that's the case.
I would also say we are the players. So it's basically saying, like, well, why do the players have to care about the game? Because they're the only ones who can play the game.
And I'll point out that it's throughout the history of humanity, we see many examples of good and bad from people. Very horrible things that are done in the name of a deity who has ordered things like ordering a rapist to marry their victim, and then the victim has to face that person for the rest of their life. Like, who's really being punished there? Is this a good standard? I think it's a terrible, horrific standard. And there's other examples, and different religions have different ideals on it too, and they don't all agree with each other on many things. And there are, when we look back through the history of humanity, all of humanity is the sum of people making all variety of decisions. There's good decisions and bad decisions in there. Sometimes those people are religious and sometimes they're not. And for the majority, it's in between. I don't know. But they're time and time again, I do see people doing good things and using their religion to justify it, and also doing bad things and using their religion to justify it. And by no means am I saying that atheism is a moral guide. I'd say there's nothing about atheism that promotes any kind of sense of morality or immorality. This is, with atheism, like, by not having some superhuman controlling power telling me that this is wrong and I'm going to be punished afterwards if I do wrong, or be rewarded if I do good. I don't have this as an aspect of my way of life. I don't have that stress on me. So for me, for me, I feel it is essential that I strive to make decisions that are well thought out and well considered. I like John Rawls' veil of ignorance concept for helping me to formulate how I'm going to go about living my life. So it's me. I'm accountable to me on this, and I'm accountable to my peers and other people in society.
And so, good night, Organic Jerk. We are about to head out. Kevin, it sounded like you had a last question. Yeah. So what's going to happen is you're going to ask the question, Randolph's going to answer, and then we're going to close out, and we'll go to Discord. So Back to you.
This could go on all night.
Send them on.
But Kevin, I'm glad you're here and taking the time to
Wild
go
Edie.
through this. So thank you.
Great. Yeah. So basically, it just sounds like you want to have your cake and eat it too. So you want to appeal to Christian morality, but you say you don't want to ascribe to some sort of higher policeman. And then you say, well, you have to have proof of it. It's just like, well, what is the proof? Is that you are using the moral guidance of Christianity or the Abrahamic religions to guide what is good and what is bad.
Yeah.
And so basically, you want, like you say, like atheism has no moral guidance. So like, well, what's stopping me from, stealing or if I can get away with it, why wouldn't I just steal your car?
Well, there are going to be consequences in society for doing that, but my primary reason for that is that doesn't have to be consideration for me personally, because I already have this idea in my own mind that this is the wrong thing to do. This is not an appeal to Christian morality, though. I disagree with a lot of things in Christian morality. I wonder how you determine that I'm trying to ascribe to Christian morality. Like, why Christianity? Why not some other religion? Why not Buddhist philosophy? Why not Hinduism? Why not the Aztecs? Why not Kahuna religion or any others?
So, what's stopping me from stealing your car and getting away with it?
Well,
and not feeling guilty about it. Because I don't have any moral. I'm an atheist. I don't have any moral guidance. If I can get away with it, I'll do it.
Yeah, and that happens. There are religious people and atheists. There are theists and atheists who do commit crimes. So, how effective is it that this promise of punishment versus reward, is it really working all that well? Apparently not, since there's so many theists in the world doing bad things as well. So, I'm trusting you as a fellow citizen not to steal my vehicle. A Suburban, by the way. I probably shouldn't be telling you that since you're talking about stealing my vehicle. Jokingly here, but seriously though, I have trust in other people who live in the same city as me to not come and destroy my home or damage my property or steal it. And so far it's been working quite well, because I happen to live in a society where the vast majority of people share these values. It still happens. Crime still happens, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the time, it does not happen.
Mm-hmm. Thou shalt not steal.
Okay. So
Christian morality.
Yeah, but Christianity is not the creator of "Thou shalt not steal." That's a value that existed long before Christianity.
And in our mind,
Christianity credit for it.
Someone just wrote it. It's just a human writing "Thou shalt not steal." Thus, it's really human-made morality.
And that would be an example of something in Christianity that I mostly agree with. There may be a situation where stealing is actually necessary, so I can't agree with it as an absolute rule, but for the most part, in most circumstances, I agree with it.
See, I wanted to end, but James got summoned by Satan.
Uh-oh.
We'll go for 10 minutes, and hopefully he'll come on.
What did she summon him for?
I know she needed redecorating, so James is down there helping redecorate.
So the Christianity...
So it sounds like you're a cultural Christian then.
Cultural Christian? I'm not a Christian.
No, we generally believe that the Christians took a lot of their religion from the pagans, and
yeah. So just because I happen
and the
to
Jews,
agree, and just because I happen to agree with some of the moral standards that are in Christianity doesn't make me a Christian culturally or otherwise. I there are many things I dislike about Christianity, and I don't attend church. I don't practice the services. I don't do any of those things.
Mm-hmm. So basically,
I don't believe in a God. That's for sure. The Christian God. And
there's nothing truthful in Christianity. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
No, I'm not making that claim. So when it comes to, I've talked to many different Christians throughout over the years, decades actually, and Muslims too, and people from other religions. And what I find with Christians, and it's pretty much the same with other religions as well, is that with Christianity, I've asked Christians, what are the requirements to be a Christian? And while the answers tend to vary, the one common part of the answer that's in every Christian's answer is a belief in the Christian God, be it Jesus or Yahweh or whatever you want to call it, belief in that God. And so to me, it seems reasonable to say that the bare minimum to be a Christian is to believe in the God of Christianity. Would you agree with this?
Yes, and that it's not just that, but there's direction that God also ascribed us to do. So
And
what's your fundamental fundamental belief? Sorry.
Okay, I just want to say, so I don't believe in any gods or goddesses, so therefore I don't qualify to be a Christian. So I just wanted to make that point. Right. So, and I don't have a problem with the parts that you just added on to that. Many Christians do that, and that's fine with me, because when you tell me you're Christian and that's what it means to you, I don't disagree with that. I'm fine with that. I accept that what you say. I trust that what you're saying about what you believe is correct. So sorry, you had a question for me about my beliefs?
So what is the fundamental pillar of atheism?
There isn't one.
What do all atheists believe as a fundamental pillar?
There isn't. There isn't. All atheism is, it just means we don't believe in any deities. We don't believe in any gods. We don't believe in any goddesses. And that's all there is to it. It is a demographic. It's a classification. There are some atheists who take it a bit further, and they'll say that they hold a position, an anti-theistic position, that there are no deities at all. I don't go that far. I'm just the baseline, fundamental, just what atheism is. So anybody who doesn't believe in any deities is an atheist. That's all there is to it. There's really nothing else to it. Everything else is incidental, and it's up to each individual. It's not a moral standard, as I've already stated. And this is where things seem to go a little bit sideways sometimes, as people will say, oh, atheists should all police themselves, or atheists should all do this or conform to something else. There's no conformity. It's the diversity. The atheism demographic is among one of the most diverse demographics in the world, because everything else is whatever people make of their lives. We are totally free, and there's nothing in atheism says that you can't suddenly become a theist, join some religion as well, by the way.
Sup, soldier science.
So where do you think life came from?
So this is a science question, or it could also be a philosophy question. For that, I would probably I would say I favor mostly abiogenesis, but the problem for me with this is that I can't commit to that because I'm not well versed in abiogenesis and all its details. But my understanding is that's a pretty credible idea, and that's not evolution. That's just abiogenesis, the spark of life, as I like to call it.
Okay, so it's kind of like the Big Bang Theory.
Something like that. Yeah. It is a distinctly separate thing from evolution, and I find in these conversations, a lot of the time people will think of evolution and abiogenesis as the same things, and evolution is about change, not necessarily progress, whereas abiogenesis is just the spark of life, how things got started.
Okay.
And I think my understanding is evolution is a lot better supported scientifically than abiogenesis is, mainly because there's been a lot more work done on the research on it.
They go after abiogenesis because evolution is factual, and so it's much harder to go after evolution, so they go after abiogenesis. Can't prove Genesis, so gotta attack.
That's my understanding. Yeah, it's interesting. Abiogenesis, and then the first chapter in the Bible is just called Genesis. The similarity in the naming is
well, they did that purposely.
Yeah.
And okay, We
Kevin,
got. I
quick.
see them connecting. I wonder where.
Yeah, and I just wonder if Kevin had any more questions here for me before, or we can give Kevin the last. I'm happy to give Kevin the last word, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know, like what an atheist is. I don't know what.
Secular society, like a United
Yeah,
States of
secular.
America.
Okay,
Much like
you
it
just
is
kind of
now.
just blend in, and
An
it's just like
atheist
it's just
society-
like what's there to live for except for your like personal pleasure.
Okay,
You ever
I do
tried
have an
cheesecake?
answer.
You know what I mean? You know
I
what
do
I mean?
have an answer
Cheesecake?
for your question. I do have an
Okay.
answer. Because you don't know what an
Streetwise?
atheist society would be like. I don't know either. It would really depend on the people who make up that society. It
just would be like
doesn't sound like much
hedonistic.
of an answer, but what to live for? That's up to each individual person to decide what's valuable to them in their lives. And if somebody wants to set a purpose for their life, that's up to them too. It's optional.
But Kevin, if you found out there was no, I'm hearing a little bit of music. If you found out there was no God, you would there'd be no meaning to life. You'd be dreary. It sounds like, let me paint this picture. Tell me that I'm
Bummer.
wrong. This is a straw man. You find out there's no God, therefore there's nothing to do in life, and I should go around killing people.
That would be kind of like the absolute. Well, there's different ways that you could react to. I guess it would be like the 5 stages of grief. So it'd be denial, and then it would be, I think, anger. Or no, how's that? Denial, anger, depression. Yeah, depression, and then acceptance or something like that. I don't know. It's something I'm forgetting the other ones, but yeah, I find it
get
hard
what
to
you mean.
believe. Like I just like, because it just, there's a lot of holes in the theories I've just been hearing on here today when it comes to like biology and why people
Holes?
steal and the morality, and then like, you know, choosing to live by a Christian teaching and then like say, oh, but there's no God. It just seems like it's very, in a way, I don't think, I'm not accusing you of being disingenuous, but it's just like a disingenuous, it's like a bad faith argument. There we go. I find a lot of these atheist arguments are really in bad faith.
Bad faith.
Okay. Do you mean any you've heard tonight, or do you just mean in
Yes.
general? You heard bad
tonight.
faith arguments tonight.
Yes.
Can you name any?
Yeah, the biology thing. So you mentioned that somebody steals because of their biology, and then you kind of,
I said morality has
it
a
didn't
base.
necessarily like agree or disagree with it. You just kind of you just directed into something else. And then
Wait. Okay, because I when I hear, don't take this the wrong way, or take it the way you want. When I hear bad faith argument, I hear something I cannot rebut. That's what you just told me. Is that
right?
You have
it's
to.
Like, yeah, you couldn't necessarily rebut it, I guess, in my frame of reference, because you said if somebody steals, it's something wrong with their biology.
That is not what I said.
Okay.
But I asked you for an example in which an ethical or moral dilemma did not have a base in biology, and you couldn't come up with an answer. Would you agree with that?
So somebody stealing is obviously something to do with their biology then?
Well, would you agree that if someone's stealing food, that it's in their base, it's probably has to deal with biology?
But what if they're stealing your car?
Well, do you think that someone stealing for food and someone stealing a car is different?
In a sense, yes.
Why?
So is it still different? Is it still based on biology though when someone's stealing your car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no,
Okay.
we're getting closer. Why are those two different? Explain to me why those two are different.
Explain. Okay, so obviously food you need to eat, but the car is
eating.
If you're hungry, right? But you could steal food for malicious reasons as well too.
You could. Do you?
Well,
Do you
if
think
you're
that-
stealing the car so you can go to the drive-thru and get some food.
But do you understand that those are why those two things are different? The reason why I'm trying to search for a good, because we generally think stealing's bad. You are taking something from someone else that doesn't belong to you. Generally speaking, that example is used to show that you can create grays and that it is dealing with the situation, that a rich person just stealing cars for joyrides, we can almost all universally agree that's bad. Their homeostasis is just fine. In fact, if they're rich bumholes stealing cars, we know that they are actually coming from a place where their biology is better than everybody else, and they're just doing things to other people in a worse situation than they are. They're making their agency worse.
They're being malicious, yeah.
Being malicious. Uh-oh.
Nope, we lost Dr. Kevin again.
We lost him. And look, it got heated. I always feel bad. I like the heat. I'm glad when he is...
I don't think so.
I don't.
I
didn't
just
get that
think
sense.
connection. It was no. He looked like he
happens.
liked the back and forth too.
You know, I thought it was very nice of him to come back, and I really
happy he
enjoyed
did.
the back and forth with him. Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, we're part of a social species, and if you don't want people to take the things that you work for, then you probably shouldn't take the things that other people work for. And maybe we should make a law about that, that even if somebody else doesn't hold that view, we're still not going to allow them to just take things that other people work for. Even if they don't agree with it, fine, we will use force to stop you. And that's
Now,
the way society works.
As I understand it, most laws are born of necessity. So the laws are created if people are actually creating these problems.
Right.
So that they have a problem with certain things, it becomes a big problem for society.
Yeah.
Then they'll make the laws. No point in enacting a whole bunch of laws for things that people aren't doing.
Well, if you're just on
Sure.
an island, it doesn't matter. You can make any laws that you want. You can
Yep.
say no eating on Tuesday, and you're the only person. So that law is now in effect. It's only when people start to congregate, when the agents
Right.
start to come together, that we have to make these ethical decisions and deal with ethical dilemmas. Some things are easy. Some ethical choices, I shouldn't walk around punching people in the face. I think most of us can agree. Some are much harder. Euthanasia, all those types of things where
Stuff
we
like
have to
that
make
is gray
difficult
areas.
questions where I'm not sure you can take. Yeah, there are situations, that's why it's called situational ethics, in which we must actually talk things out. We have to look at what is going on.
Yeah.
And so I'm sending love. I will say the last thing, because
the decisions that we're making about other people's lives tend to be the ones that are more difficult, because empathy seems to be a natural thing that occurs among people.
Right.
And so we tend to think, most of us tend to think about, how is this going to affect the other person? And so that's why those decisions are harder, I think.
And I just want to say, as a final note, that it may feel like gotchas, some of these questions, but they're really just things that I have thought on a long freaking time, as in, why the hell do I believe what I believe? And it's not bad faith. I swear to you, to any theist, to any atheist, I just want to know the truth. That is all that matters. And so
we're just sick people. We've just thought about this stuff for a long time. So chances are, if you're saying something, we've heard it before. We've had time to percolate that thought through our minds. So we kind of know how we feel about it already.
Amy and James, I do get the sense, though, that if somebody is disagreeing with your ideas, and you will try to defend your ideas in a way to kind of suss them out and make sure that it makes sense to change your views, which I think is reasonable, that people on all different directions do this, I find.
I would like it to be that we can change our minds, and hopefully they can change theirs. I mean,
so Dr. Peter Boghossian talked about critical thinking. He said there's two main points about it. One is that there's the skill set part of it, and then there's the attitudinal component. And a lot of people have the skill set, but many people don't take the attitudinal component very far.
Oh boy.
And the attitudinal one is the willingness to change our minds when we're presented with reasonable evidence, that convincing evidence, rather than just saying, hey, that's a fallacy or that's not logical. So those two components are essential, the skills and the attitudinal parts. No, I agree with him on.
And actually, I'm going to send love to you, Randolph. We have
you, Randolph.
someone coming on just at the
That
last
comment Jen
minute.
just posted was just amazing.
So
in chat.
send it. I know. In fact, yeah, I saw that, Jen. Send in love. I know.
She
darn.
only lasted 37 seconds. I probably wouldn't have made it past 10 seconds, like your first time.
He's a
But I
field
wanted
of
to say the
flowers.
attitudinal component you just touched on, and you got it right, I think.
Well, thank you so
Thank you,
very
Randolph.
much, the
Yeah,
godfather of atheism. And all right, we're going to bring in Oz. We've been having
great.
fun. Oz,
Ozzy Osbourne.
we are calling me skeptical. We've been asking for evidence for God. We talked about morality and evolution. But how are you? What are your thoughts?
How you doing, Oz?
Well, I'm great. I hope you guys are well. And you got through
All right.
morality and all that, and you still don't know who God is?
I know. Amazing.
We don't know.
It's Yahweh, the God that loves to kill babies and like unborn babies, genocide.
How to
Like loves to commit genocide.
how to sell your kids into slavery.
Yeah. Like, there's tons of really cool shit this God loves, and you guys still don't believe it?
I know
It's
it's
so
rough.
sad. He
would
had
be
me at
such
the
a
drowning
bummer.
babies, but
It would be such a bummer if hell wasn't real and people weren't going to be roasted forever.
yeah, hell,
I mean,
killing
I mean,
Sodom and Gomorrah.
I mean, James, what evidence, if this doesn't convince you as an atheist, what evidence do you need to convince you that God is true?
I think even if God came up and tapped Amy on the shoulder, I don't think she'd believe.
I didn't ask about, I asked about you, James.
Me, I don't know what it would take. I think if God tapped me on the shoulder, I might, but we'll have to wait and see. What about you, Oz? What would it take for you to believe?
I think I'm in the Pine Creek camp where I'm going to do something extreme. Like I have a wet paper cloth or I have a wet paper towel, and God's going to have to check this wet paper towel with like lightning or fire or something and burn this wet paper towel or whatever. Like I need something to actually know that like this dude runs this shit.
Break physics.
Like he is the commander, he's the chief. Yeah.
He's the commander at the girl dick level.
Hey, it'd be nice if he'd just come down and give us empirical evidence. He was talking in the Torah, in the New Testament. Seems to have one-on-one conversations.
Last night. The Bible.
If he wants a personal relationship, his butt should be down here talking to us.
He
but
made cake.
Guess he's too busy. Yeah.
He was making everything last night. Wine, mixed drinks.
Stop Afro-humanist.
Hey, think about it. Adam and Eve, if he was really down there like chilling in the garden, like, hey, what up, fam? What up, fam? Like they were not the most intelligent beings to ever walk because they were the first, right? And we've developed or evolved. I know Christians hate that word, but we've all developed and evolved, and now we are where we are today. Like God thought it was more important to show himself to the motherfuckers that probably didn't even understand what the fuck was going on than to show himself to us folks today that would actually understand what the fuck's going on. It's a joke.
Make more sense, right? Now you think it. What you really need to do is write a message, and the older it is, the more reliable it is. That's how you know, Oz. That's how we have the real stuff, because it's super, super old. It's from 3,000 years and 2,000 years.
And if it just totally conflicted with science and history, that would make it even, because what God would come up with something, I'm going to come up with something that conflicts with science and history, and they'll just have to believe it no matter what. I mean, only a real God would do something like that. The fake gods, they would just look at everything and kind of construct their story around that. The real God, he would just be a boss and just do, hey, believe it or burn.
Burn, baby, burn.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Disco Inferno.
Hey, I'm gonna build this boat. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have this dude. He's like 900 years old. Build a boat.
Makes sense.
Like it's really big boat, the biggest boat that's ever been built. Because he's the Donald Trump of his day. It's huge.
That's exactly
Huge boat.
Huge boat. Some people are saying it's the biggest boat.
All the animals, even the fucking dinosaurs. Even the dinosaurs are going to be on it.
But think about that. Like, come on, man. Like, and that's the thing. Like, there are points where I'm a little embarrassed that I used to be a I read the book literally. Like I look back, I'm like a little embarrassed now, where it's like, no, that's not even close to being real.
Right.
That's not even close to being real.
And dragons? You said giants. There are giants. Okay, sure, buddy.
25 foot
tall. About that. About that. And there's this little guy that comes along. His name's David. That has a little slingshot that's just going to kill these fucking giants in one shot.
Hey. Then God made a really strong guy, but he said, "Oh, if you get your hair cut, you'll lose all your strength. You'll just be a regular guy." There you go.
Also, in our Bible study,
ladies and gentlemen,
just killed a random dude. Just killed a random dude for working on Shabbat. He was literally just
picking up
collecting sticks, and God was just like, "Boop."
Like, hey, God, we found this guy collecting sticks. What should we do with him? He shall surely be put to death.
I just don't remember that passage in my Hebrew school, and I imagine in most Sunday schools. So the darndest things you find in the Bible.
The darndest things. God say the darndest things.
Yeah.
But send in love.
God just literally just comes down.
No. God.
Yeah, finish.
God comes in.
I was just saying because I'll say this, and I'll be done because I'm talking shit. But my daughter all the time, she'll, as soon as I pick her up, we'll get in the car and she'll say, "Hey, Dad, look at me," and I'll look at her. She'll go boop, and she'll like tap my nose. So when you said that, like boop, I imagine God being like, "Boop, you're dead."
Boop, bye.
Boop, you're dead.
Boop, you're dead. It does kind of come off like that.
Killed somebody for picking up sticks. He killed people for strange fire. That would be like God waiting on the side of the road with a flamethrower to just scorch somebody for jaywalking or something. I don't know.
He just seems like an asshole.
A dick.
Like, they tell me that he is the most good. So much good, you're going to have good coming out your ears. I am waiting for him to be even a decent human being. Like,
yeah. Not to be in the category
just
of like
boop some
Stalin.
Yeah. Boop. Boop. Hey, I would trust the morality of any young child of our species, though sometimes children can be mean. So let's not completely go there. But generally speaking,
99%.
Not only would I trust a kid, but almost even most adults. I feel like if you just pulled an adult aside and we're just like, all right, you're going to write something better than the 10 Commandments. Go. They'd be like, well, we're going to have that. Hey, maybe thou shalt not own people as slaves.
Yeah, Instead of making rules for slavery, yeah, maybe no
Can't
slavery.
sell daughter into slavery. Commandment. Wow, I just made. But it's the best, the most loving book. Thank you, Best in Show.
It was the best ever, the hugest Trump impersonation. Very long, and she's very hard.
Shake mates. But yes, we've been calling me skeptical. We've been asking for evidence of a god. I don't know if we found any tonight, but we found both monotheism and polytheism. So we're gonna have to let them fight that out. And pantheism. All the theisms.
All
two for the price of one.
Halfway deism.
And because Oz is on here, we have to obligatorily go, Jesus is a myth. I have to go,
Tangang.
Prophets aren't real because I don't really get middlemen, and Tangang, yo, exactly.
No, I appreciate that. And hashtag Jesus is a myth.
Jesus is a myth.
Absolutely, he is a myth, yeah.
That's right, Doorknob Head. We're being skeptical. Their work is done. I don't know. We're probably gonna have to do a few more episodes.
Maybe we'll do an episode on that. Maybe we can get Oz to come on to talk about Jesus as being a myth.
Actually, we are way past that. We have to do a talk skeptic to me, where it's just get Oz to tell us why Jesus is a myth. Hashtag.
Ooh, let's do it. Hashtag.
All right,
baby.
Gotta set that up. We have almost all of our shows. I'm really excited. We have now Call Me Skeptical, Talk Skeptic to Me, all the skeptic content that you guys could ever wish.
Atheism was the church or religion. This would be church. Yeah.
Well, sends in love also to the Church of Answers in Atheism. That's right. Jesus is a myth. I mean,
Thank you, pro-humanist. Absolutely, Jesus is a myth.
And I wish I could have gotten Kevin to talk about prophets, because I don't believe that Bubbles believes in prophets.
Probably not.
I don't know. If polytheists may have prophets, but I don't think so.
They have so many gods, they don't need prophets. They got gods coming out of their ears.
Randolph is like, is the first person screen made not working? All right, he's feeling. Gosh darn it, we do have to. I think it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're like, when Amy says 10 minutes, they're like add a 0 onto that. But no, we're gonna bring in Randolph so he can tangang with us as we truly wrap up.
That's good to be back.
Good to be back.
Good to be back.
You do the gangster stuff really well.
She's the OG, real OG.
But that our max capacity in our call-in shows is going to be 4. I like that, in case you need to have an extra guest or an extra host. In this case, we have our 4 skeptics on, baby. We are chock full of skepticism. Some super atheists for the inner circle atheists.
Yeah.
It's great to see you, Oz. Thanks for coming on. It's always good. Oh, I hope he didn't get frozen.
All right. Well, he might have been like, "Oh, bring Randolph in so I can go grab a drink," which is what I often do.
I'm here. Good.
But,
I'm here. Good to see everybody. I couldn't find the mute button.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It can happen from time to time. I hope everything's going well for you. Yeah.
You remember, there is a very simple mute button. Boop. Boop.
Boop, 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 boop.
Only are that easy.
Hey,
but yeah,
don't threaten God with a good time. He'll meet a bunch of people.
It's been fun, but I don't think any theists are gonna come back
I
on to
doubt it.
reign champion. We've had the floodgates open, but we're about to come on hour 3. It was actually fun. We did have 3 theists come on, so it was a trio, which is a good night, in my opinion, along with all of our lovely skeptical friends.
I was hoping we'd get Dr. Flower to come on, but
Dr. Flower, we did see Flower out in there.
He was.
So,
Sunflower?
Yes, Dr.
Oh,
Flower.
yeah.
That's his
You just called him Dr. Flower?
Dr. Flower, yeah. Because he likes to diagnose people with mental illness and things like that.
Oh, it's a term of sarcastic endearment. Okay.
Yeah, it's a term of sarcastic endearment, yeah.
What? We love everyone here. I don't know what you're talking about. But yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think that means we are going to wrap it up.
That's what
We've been having fun.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. I'm going to actually I'm going to hand it over just to James for the keys as we switch into our wrap-ups, but it has been fun.
Do we have the mimes for this one?
We have it all, baby, as we have been. All right, James, it's been fun, but we've been looking for evidence of God. What do you think?
Well, great show. I want to thank all the theists for coming on. Dr. Kevin, Bubble, Jen, thanks for being part of the show. Thanks to our skeptics, Mark, Randolph, Oz, and this was a really good first-time show. So thanks everybody for being part of it, and we love you guys.
Woohoo! That's right. Sending love to all of you out there, and I hope you all had a fun time on this episode of Call Me Skeptical, Evidence for God, where tonight we opened up the internet phone lines and put the deity question into the hot seat. I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our guests, Mark Reed, Dr. Kevin, Bubble, Randolph Richardson, Jen, and Oz, along with our awesome mods who make this stream so great, the people in chat, and all of our lovely viewers.
The best viewers. The best Patreons.
You are who even make this channel possible. If you like what you saw tonight, feel free to like, follow, or subscribe. Then hit that bell icon so you can join our live streams just like tonight. After the show, we will be heading over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. So come join us for some fun. Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more fun content, we offer some unique community perks for our supporters by checking out patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, and we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Mwah. We'll see you on Discord.